Cool,
All right,
me too.
everybody. Welcome to the New Year's Eve rant. I'm Rosie Convoy. Got Jason with me. So, okay, we're just waiting for a few people to pop on. I got Mr. Green Thumb Ottawa already shouting out Happy New Year. Nice to see you too. We have a guest backstage from Operation Good Oil. All right, we've got 4 people watching now. Kia ora. How is everybody today? All right, so what a year it's been. Am I right, Jason?
Yes, yes, it was absolutely crazy. I'm actually getting a feedback loop. I've got to eliminate a sound source.
Uh-oh. Is it my voice that's echoing, or?
No, it's me. It's my system.
Okay.
What I'm doing is I'm also broadcasting this live on State of the Nation YouTube channel. So I just got to figure out how to mute that so I can hear you directly.
Get a good old-fashioned pillow. No, just kidding.
Muffle it.
Just muffle it. Well, we have 4 people watching. Welcome to the show. If you're in New Zealand, good morning. Happy New Year's Eve. If you're in Canada, good afternoon. Happy New Year's Eve. Yeah, so just wanted to talk about what an amazing and crazy kind of year it's been for us. I know that everybody kind of remembers the Trucker Convoy that we had here in Canada. I watched it from British Columbia as the truckers made their way to Ottawa. Got pretty excited, and yeah, it's been awesome. What was it, like only 6 days after everybody got to Ottawa? New Zealand, you guys started your convoy from the North Island down to Wellington, and then from the South Island up. What is that? Yeah, so anyway, oh, we've got the Chad. Hi, the Chad. Oh, the real Brett. I did have a Merry Christmas. And thank you. All the best to you in the coming New Year as well. So, Jason Bainbridge, I met you under the coolest circumstances. I was...
Yeah, I'm just going to battle through this for a minute.
For sure, and, yeah, no, I'll fill all the extra... I'll tell the story of how we met, because it's quite the story.
Yeah, but I'll manage with the reverb for a minute until we get a guest in, then I'll go off stage and figure out how I can cancel one of them out, because they're both coming through the same source, coming from my headphones, so I'm going to isolate it. Something I didn't expect. But this time I'm actually a guest,
yes,
as opposed to the actual host, so this is one of the things that I've not experienced before, so now we know. Yeah, and I'm also streaming out to State of the Nation as well, so yeah. The way it started for me was I got a message from someone in my relative class about an idea about doing this, and I thought, yeah, it would probably be a really good idea to actually follow on from these guys. I'm just going to take my headphones off for a minute and talk.
Yeah, you mean convoy,
so
right?
Hearing the reverb, so I've got.
Because I believe it was 6 days
All right,
after.
very cool. Now I don't hear myself.
I believe it was 6 days after you guys.
Yeah, we
you helped plan the
Facebook
convoy.
group up, had some people got involved, and physically it took traction as well, and tons of people got involved in it. I've actually made a few videos from that time, which we can actually look at. They're only a few minutes long, 3 or 4 minutes long each video. Keep them nice and short. So, and yeah, they marched. They did it. They marched all the way into. They convoyed. They convoyed from all around the country into Wellington, just like you guys did, eh?
It was very exciting to watch, because I missed the convoy to Ottawa, like watching the live feeds. I was a double vaxxed basically a virtue signaler until the truckers woke me up. And it was exactly on January 29th that a friend of mine invited me to a support rally in my hometown in British Columbia. And we went, and it changed my life forever. And so I jumped right onto all the lives that I could, watched everything from British Columbia. And within a few days, you guys were organizing your own convoy to your parliament in Wellington. And I watched it, and you were the organizer. I was watching you. You were posting where the meeting places were, at what time. And I was just cheering you guys on so much from Canada. So I was so excited because, yeah, the Canadian truckers, they were the big stone hitting the pond that started a ripple. I think within a couple of weeks, there were 23 different countries that had their own convoys. So New Zealand, of course, being one of them. And I was very excited to become a part of it. So you were the admin for the group. And you were posting, and you were diligent. You were absolutely on top of it, encouraging everyone. And I was just trying to do my bit from Canada to cheer you guys on. So that was it meant a lot to me. So, but then the trolls hit, right? All the haters and stuff hit the page.
The trolls.
Yeah. So I private messaged you and asked you if you could please do something about it. It's terrible for morale. And you said, well, why don't I just make you admin for the convoy page? So, yeah, it was exciting. At first, I was really like, no, too much responsibility. So you made me moderator. But within a couple of days, I wanted that power to be able to block people. The
power of social media.
Right? I needed that because there were some people, you were so busy. And, well, of course, the page was gaining traction. I think we grew from 2,000 to 10,000 in a few days. And so the spam was horrible. And I was on top of it. I was going through all the feeds and deleting as much spam and blocking as many spammers as I could. So the two of us, we made quite a team. We really did. Never met before. Yeah, it was
pretty amazing what we did with just two people and like all the people on the ground. But to be all honest, to be so we just listen to myself again now. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing what we really did. The people on the ground, they're doing their thing. We mostly, our Facebook group represented mostly the North Island, South Island crew were working with us in conjunction with us as well. But for me, I took the position that, Facebook, I'm overseas, so it'd be cool. I could cover all the convoys, and it'd be a really cool thing to keep track of. And considering at this time where it's pretty meaningful what's taken place over the past 12 months, I guess. Now we're already into January, so we're getting close to the 1 year anniversary coming up.
I know.
So what's taken place around the world actually has been quite meaningful, not just in New Zealand and Australia and Canada, but seemingly these are the key target countries, Canada, New Zealand and Australia. So it's really unfortunate that these people are sort of treating the Kiwis like that. We'll put my light on. Treating the Kiwis and the Canadians like that. And they're not very nice people, to be honest.
No.
What they're doing to the general population, not very nice at all. But after you guys actually ended up on the very first convoy. Sorry, you didn't end up on the very first convoy. You led another convoy. You got involved. You went on a mad road trip, right?
I did. Yes, I did. It's been quite the adventure.
Yeah. What kind of ground did you cover?
Well, I'm over 4,000 kilometers from home, and I've put about 12,000 on my Jeep. So it's been it's been quite a year. She's been an amazing vehicle, and I was actually happy to have the New Zealand flag on there. One thing I noticed about your convoy in New Zealand was every now and then I'd see a Canadian flag. And it made me so emotional and so grateful that you guys were kind of just, carrying the torch as well. So, yeah, I was more than happy to put a New Zealand flag on my Jeep and represent and give you guys that credit and that shout out, because you guys worked so hard. I watched all the lives from the Freedom Village in Wellington, and I was there right from the beginning, from the cyclone and all the rain, and the fact that was it Trevor Mallard brought out and started getting the sprinklers. He turned the sprinklers on, and they played, what was it, Baby Shark and Let It Go and the Macarena. And instead of letting any of that defeat you, New Zealand with the Kiwis, they really stepped up, and you learned the Macarena, and you were ready for it in case he came back and attempted that again. And he just watched. That's what they say. Yeah, I saw the picture. He had his mask on. He was watching from Parliament, all sullen, and it was something else. You guys built that little duck pond, right? Mallard Lake, I believe you guys called it. You guys brought in all the straw. You covered all the grounds. You put up your tents. Built the most amazing village. The food tents, everything was just amazing to watch. I was watching Chantel Baker, her live feeds. I was watching Papa Hones, one whānau at a time. He was fantastic. He was one of my favorites, and while he was at Wellington there, and it just absolutely, it meant a lot to me to be a part of it. So thank you, Jason, for seeing my potential.
Well, we all have potential, don't we? We all have it in us. I mean, look at us. I mean, initially we were not actually participating. Well, I have definitely never participated in a convoy, except a traffic jam in Vietnam, recently. But overall, it just goes to show that, even though we weren't there physically, although you eventually did get involved and muck in physically on the second round, but it's just amazing what we can achieve by support online. It's an international world. It's a bipolar world, multipolar world. Sorry, it's a multipolar world. So I guess you can do it. People can do it, even from sitting at home cheering on their people if they can't physically make it there. But it was good to see the entire movement of freedom-loving people actually get involved and cooperate for once. That was amazing, to be honest. And they should really do it again more often. Yeah, more and more.
The support at the side of the road, like the people who showed up with signs and with flags, and in Canada and New Zealand, it was just absolutely amazing to see. And then the videos, those videos that people made that came out after, that had like fantastic music to it, and just, it's been absolutely amazing. I wouldn't trade any of it for the world.
Yes.
So no, it was it meant a lot. So of course I got myself another flag. One to hang in behind.
Oh, you got a new one.
This is the antique one that I bought at an antique store.
That's right, you did.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's nice to see us hanging out together on the wall. So.
I've got my flag behind me. Yeah, this is the state of it.
The state of the nation flag.
The state of it. The crime scene behind me. The global crime scene.
Right. Yeah, it was absolutely interesting to watch, because it was day 23 when the police finally came in Ottawa and started pushing the protesters out, and it was day 23 that it happened in New Zealand. It was absolutely bizarre for me. It was seeing it with surround sound. It's just a bit of an echo. What happened in Ottawa happened to you guys in New Zealand. And it was on the same day, and it was in the same means, and it was the same thing. Peaceful protesters, being mistreated and manhandled, and just it was really difficult to watch, because Ottawa broke my heart, and I just remember feeling so frustrated, because I was 4 provinces away, and I wanted to be in Ottawa so badly. So to see it happen just a few days later, was it March 2nd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
and
a difficult day.
And it's a very long distance. Yeah, it's a very far distance. to travel.
So,
Your country is quite expansive compared to New Zealand. Even top to bottom, probably a couple of those will fit into Canada.
well, it's I've researched. It's New Zealand's what 1,200 kilometers from top to bottom, and I've traveled more than 4,000 just to get to the Ottawa area. So
there you go. There you go. A good 3 times the size.
it's been interesting. I actually finally went to Quebec while I've been out here. Had never been to Quebec. Came really close to going to Nova Scotia, so that was exciting too. Everything just, being here. I never imagined I'd end up in this area. I never imagined I'd end up moving to Ontario, and I never thought I'd ever get to the eastern side of Canada, and now it could be something I do in the spring. Just continue the road trip. So absolutely, yeah, no, it's been wonderful. It's been a fantastic year. It's had its ups and downs, and I'm just so thankful and so grateful to be a part of it. Absolutely, it means the world to me. It's like you guys are in my heart for sure, all of you. So
yeah, it has been an eventful year, full of all sorts of strife and madness. When you got started, you were involved. You probably. I got to recap on it because I was not hearing properly earlier before. When you led a convoy, you were in the front pack of a convoy. Where did you guys kick off, and what was your destination?
Well, that short video that I made, that was in my hometown, and a convoy, the Great Canadian Cruise, they left Ottawa right after everything got dismantled. And they made their way across Canada, and because British Columbia was the last province to end the mandates,
Yes.
they were determined they weren't going to leave us behind. So a whole bunch of them convoyed out to British Columbia to try to get more people involved, to kind of wake up the sleepy. And I was watching their live streams as they approached my hometown, and I was just beyond excited to meet them and join them, and I got invited. They're like, you know what, we like your attitude, we like your positivity, you're a fun person,
Yeah.
So they asked me if I could join, and I did. I quit my job. I told my
Fantastic.
boss, I told her I was going to be going out to Ottawa. I had been invited to become part of the movement, and there was no way I was going to sit back and just have my phone to yell at. I needed to get to Ottawa. So I joined the convoy. I actually got to convoy out
good on
here.
you.
Yep, all my gas was
Good
paid
on you.
for, and it meant it was amazing. It was amazing. The weather was still iffy, but my Jeep, man, she just plowed through that snow, and she I think it was her big adventure too. So yeah, so now she's called Zealander because of the New Zealand
Zealander.
flag. Yep, Zealander.
With the what is it? The ice blue? Or what's it called? Cold steel, cold blue, cold.
Oh, the cold steel, the blue.
Yeah,
Was it
cold steel.
blue
look.
steel? I think it was blue,
Blue
steel.
steel. There you go. Blue steel. Look.
Yeah,
the
there was
Zealander.
Magnum and there was Blue Steel.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely
And you
amazing.
took your cat with you.
I did. I brought my Danny boy with me. He's been staying at a friend's now since it started getting pretty warm in the summer. So I thank my friend Betty, because she's been amazing. She's kept an eye on him, and she sends me pictures, and he's fattened up quite a bit because he gets treats now, and he lived in a she shed all summer, and apparently he likes to catch mice but not kill them. So it's been amazing. It's absolutely been amazing. When I look back a year ago, I would never have imagined that I would have this kind of guts and this kind of drive, literal drive and figurative drive, to make a difference, to do what I can. So yeah, that's
Makes
kind
you
of
mad enough. Makes you mad enough to do something.
Well, exactly. Yeah. You sleep for so long, and then
That's right.
what are you gonna do when you wake up? You look around, and there's just like you can't not do anything, And I've always been a bit of a, I care too much sometimes, and it comes back to bite me. But this has been amazing. I've never been to New Zealand. I've always wanted to go. I'm a big, huge Lord of the Rings Tolkien nerd, and yeah, I love your accent. I love the accent. I love the flag. I love your national anthem because I had never heard it before, but then I heard it on one of the live streams from the Beehive, and it was amazing just listening. You guys have a beautiful national anthem, absolutely beautiful national anthem, and it's actually a bit of an earworm. It'll stay in your head for a few days, so that's a good feeling.
I was just reading, actually, that it was written by an Irishman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that post popped up during the week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was written by an Irishman, apparently. Gabrielle and Daniel are going to come on, so they might be able to confirm that.
Yeah.
And speaking of guests, we do have Daniel Reurich waiting in the rears there. And before we flip over to him, I've got a little video teed up. I'm going to share my screen and play a little video that I made of the compilation of the New Zealand convoy from north and south to Wellington. And
I'd love
take
to
about
see
3
that.
minutes.
Yes, please.
So I've got that lined up. So I'm just going to set up my present. And forgive me if we have any technical difficulties because this is the first time we've used this platform, but it's actually very nice. I like it. So it seems a lot easier than what I've been doing previously. So
I see Karl Barkley. I see your comment. Once I heard that the people of New Zealand were heading to occupy our Parliament grounds, arrived early the first day and parked my freedom van at the middle gate where I had always parked for protests. That's fantastic, Karl. I'm so glad you went there. I probably saw you on one of the lives, and I'm really glad that you were there. It was absolutely amazing. Just to see it, the big lit sign, the freedom sign. Yeah, it was, I felt like I was a real part of it. But I mean, of course, I inserted myself. That's what I did. But, I wouldn't change a thing. Except the outcome, of course. I would have been nice to have had him.
I think a lot of people, will have the same opinion that you have about that the outcome.
Well,
and it's still not over. It's still not over. There's still a long way to go, I believe.
It would have been nice if our prime ministers had actually come out and addressed us, but it was the same thing. It was just uncanny how they were using the same playbook. It's easier for them to stay behind the walls and just slander and lie, and that's all they did. And then, of course, once everything was cleared out, then they came out, and Jacinda came out with her brown dress and what she called you guys a river of filth. It was disgusting. It was all the, more of the same. It's just put your blinders on and just ignore the people, and you think everything is going to be okay. No, and it's it's not that easy. It's not that easy when enough people are, it's just time. It's just time to make the world a better place, and so we're doing what we can, aren't we, Jason? So, how's the video? Or are you frozen now? Looks like you're frozen. Oh, there we go. No. Let's see. Comments. Yeah, I miss you too, Mr. Green Thumb Ottawa. Tommy Temper, thank you. Thank you. Noel's gig 111 subbed. I appreciate that very much. Steven Siegel. Yeah, I made the newspaper. Will you address whose forever girl you are now? I am my own forever girl, but I have a partner who's amazing. Wanda, nice to see you. All right. So maybe, let's see if I can. Jason, wherefore art thou, Jason? Should I bring Daniel in? Or, So I hope everybody had a really good year. It's been tumultuous, to say the least, but looking back, there's nothing I would change. I'd make a few different choices here and there, but hindsight's always 2020. Yeah, I guess I don't know where Jason went, so you know what? Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Rosie.
I just went ahead and bypassed Jason. I thought I'd bring you on here. It's very, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, and to meet you, and to hear a bit of your backstory.
Yeah, well, it's been very adventurous. It's been a great, absolutely fantastic year, and I'm so honored to be a part of it and to be a part of everything that you guys stand for. I understand you're with Operation Good Oil.
Yes, I'm with Operation Good Oil. It's been one of those really tragic and really at the same time really amazing year. Tragic in the sense of sort of where we've come to as countries, as nations, and the turmoil that's been created around us by those that want to control. And yet the amazing part is seeing so many people come together in the convoys, both in Canada and here in New Zealand and all over the world, and people standing up and showing love and sharing what they have, and supporting and encouraging each other along the way. It's been, that's been really amazing. So,
are you in
really,
the North Island or the South Island?
I'm in the North Island. Currently, I'm at my in-laws' place in Papamoa, but I actually live in Lower Hutt, which is basically right next to Wellington. So, so I was there. I was there on the first day when the convoy arrived. I helped set up Levi and co set up the food tent, and just turned up pretty much every day at Parliament. It was a quite a striking moment. I just couldn't stay away. I had to be there. Had to do what I could to help.
I know the feeling.
And it's it was just amazing sort of meeting all the people there and and building new friendships, because there are a lot of people that sort of don't really want to have anything to do with me anymore, because I didn't want the jab. I didn't want to certainly didn't want to have my family jab. And well, my kids never had any vaccines ever, due to a little bit of research and not being comfortable with what I found. So for us, it was in some respects a no-brainer to just say, well, this isn't for us, with regards to the vaccines that were being offered, but also, I was pretty well aware that this was all a power play rather than about health and safety.
It was a control experiment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And it was, if you'd been watching people like Alex Jones, you could see it coming. Sort of in that respect, he was pretty on the money in terms of his predictions. And sadly, I don't think this is over yet. I think we've got another round or two to go.
Mm-hmm.
But we are winning. And that's the exciting part. We are winning. We have more people waking up. More people have just said, nah, it's not going to. We're not going to buy it anymore. We're not going to be controlled. And there's been a real resurgence in the idea that we need much less government, and we need to actually just be living and doing our best our way, and taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm. yeah, the world is definitely a better place when everybody kind of just puts, does what they can with
Yeah.
all the good intentions and everything. But yeah, no, I didn't wake up until January 29th. I'm double jabbed. I'm double vaccinated. I still get text messages reminding me to come and get my booster. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Especially now that SADS is a thing. I actually think I dodged a bit of a bullet. Um, so I'm really happy that you were there. So you met some people there. David Hosking. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with?
Yeah, I know David Hosking. He's another one of our locals from. He lives in. I think in Nainai, a few suburbs over from my home. Karl Barkley, you mentioned earlier. He was somebody I actually knew from being involved in a small political party, New Conservative, back in the 2020 election. So yeah, and yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah, there are just so many people.
I've met him now. In the meantime, we've actually he ended up I saw like on the Facebook posts and everything, and I got this message, saying thank you so much for everything you do, because I was helping Jason run the New Zealand convoy group on Facebook. I was one of the admins, and he phoned me one day through Messenger and told me that I had inspired him, and I was like, "Whoa, dude! Like, I'm just a nerd, I'm not even in Ottawa." But he said, "No, this is all the comments that you make, all the encouragement that you give people. It really means a lot." And he told me his story, which was amazing. That he actually worked at Parliament and went down on his lunch break, spent a few minutes with the protesters, and never went back. Just that was it. His heart was absolutely. He's an amazing person. I'm super honored to have met a whole bunch. I've got friends now in New Zealand. Should I ever come to visit, I have places to stay, which is an amazing feeling. It really is. The friendships, right? The friendships we've made.
Oh, absolutely. People I would have never met. Sort of suddenly, wonderful friends, and I'm pretty sure that I can't walk into a town anywhere in New Zealand and not run into somebody that I know from Parliament. It's just like that. The thousands of people that came through there, the thousands of people that I talked to, and yeah, it was, in that sense, it was just such a wonderful, wonderful outpouring of, of love, of friendship, and
understanding.
Sort of yeah.
Everybody just, when you put your differences aside, it's just amazing what you can accomplish. You all had one common goal, and it was just to stand up for the freedom of choice. But how could that be so hard? So it was absolutely amazing. Okay, I see like Jason is in the background here. There he is. Okay, I'll bring him on now too. All right, Daniel, I'm adding Jason right now also, so we'll all hang out. There you are.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. We got a regular party going. Happy New Year's Eve party here.
I lost the connection. I don't know what happened. My Ethernet. It was actually not a Wi-Fi. It was a hard connection. Hang on. I guess my mic's not on.
No, you're on. I can hear you.
On. We can hear you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I just had to reset the whole computer. Luckily, Brave browser remembers everything, so pops straight back up in the right spot. So I just have to start streaming again. So carry on, Daniel. Carry on. I just solve a few technical issues here.
Yeah.
So you're living. You live in Lower Hutt.
Yep. Yeah. Trotter is the suburb. It's a wonderful little place. Well, actually, it's not that little, I guess. But it's sort of I've got 4 children, and my wife, and a cat, and now 2 rats.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. One of my daughters has just recently acquired a couple of rats. Yeah, not that I'm particularly fond, but well, yeah, it's sort of yeah. But yeah, so we've been living in Lower Hutt now for uh, coming up 15 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in our current house, we actually bought it as a burnt out wreck and rebuilt it. Yeah, it was, sort of it had a fire in it. It was all charred and the roof structure needed replacing. So,
Oops.
oops. So yeah, sort of got stuck in and saw the opportunity and built our family home. And
Wonderful.
then the kids came along. Our oldest daughter is 15. Our youngest boy is 3. Yeah, and there's 2 in between as well. So spread them out a little bit. But it's been fun. But yeah, so
So tell us about Operation Good Oil.
So
That's
Operation Goodall was came out of a response out of called the Dig into Marsden, which was a protest against the shutting down of New Zealand's only oil refinery, which produced when it was shut down, it was producing about 70% of our transport fuel requirements. It was producing about 80% of our bitumen requirements for road products for making the roads. And it was producing, I think, close to 100% of our aviation fuel, or at least our A1 jet fuel. And top quality jet fuel it was as well. Very low sulfur content. It was actually regarded some of the best in the world. And
so why was it shut down? Because that makes no
well,
sense to me.
sort of the claim was that it was not profitable. That they couldn't. That the company wasn't making money. And that really doesn't fly in the face of the evidence.
Right.
And actually, what turns out to have happened is that Ampol, who used to own one chain called Gull, chain of fuel stations, decided that they wanted to buy another chain of fuel stations called Z Energy, which was supposedly the New Zealand owned network of petrol stations. So they sold Gull, they bought Z Energy as part of the deal. They required that the refinery was shut down because their model was import fuel. So as a consequence of that sort of being a fairly substantial Z Energy having been a fairly substantial user of refinery fuel, and one of the big shareholders, sort of had significant sway in the decision. But also our government just let it go, decided that it was, they could be seen to be doing something for climate change by shutting it down because that would reduce our carbon footprint, supposedly.
But doesn't it mean you have to import the fuel now?
Yeah, so
how,
it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything on the global scale. It just means that we're not producing that locally, so it doesn't count for our carbon outputs.
It's kind of counterproductive, really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that sort of they're adding 30 or 40% more carbon into the thing through buying fuel from refineries that may not be as may not have been as efficient and as clean as our own refinery was. But also they it has to be shipped from sort of halfway around the world.
Right.
Which is just insane. It takes an average of 18 days for a fuel tanker to get from China or Singapore or Korea to New Zealand. We have a little bit in Australia, but that's only a tiny fraction. Most of it comes from kind of Singapore, North Korea, not North Korea, South Korea, and China.
So when did it shut down? Because I remember you guys were trying to keep it going, and then so when did that happen? Just a few months ago?
1st of April. It was.
Oh.
It was the joke. That was pulled on New Zealand. And
so what are the fuel prices now? Besides astronomical.
At the stage when it was shut down, it was around I don't know, $2.20 a litre. We're actually currently sitting around the same pricing, but we had a peak of over $3 a litre for unleaded 91. So we're 50% increase on what the price was originally, or pretty close to. For a while there in the latter part of the year, sort of our diesel actually increased. Diesel was always 30% cheaper per litre than the 91. Now diesel is pretty close to the price of the unleaded 91 octane petrol, but it actually did increase past the cost of unleaded 91 petrol as well for a little bit there. But and that's part of it. The other part of it is that our roads are falling apart, because the refinery here used to provide a very, very high quality bitumen, which is designed specifically for our roads.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they produced about 80% of it at the refinery, and what was imported often ended up being shoved through the refinery to bring it into spec with what was required for our roads. Because of the temperature range that we experience and the way our roads are constructed, they have very very tight specification for the bitumen, and since the refinery has been gotten rid of, we're entirely reliant on the specification to be met by external providers over on the other side of the world, and that just doesn't happen. So as a result, we've had bitumen which just peels off. Sort of our roads literally are falling apart. In Wellington, we've had a major new section of state highway that has been opened, and sort of within weeks, the seal was starting to peel off, and stones were flicking up and cracking windscreens and all sorts of carry on. North of Auckland, there's another section of road which just the other week, they laid down some new seal on it, a new section of road, and within days they were having to actually go and scrape it all up again because it was actually lifting. The seal was completely lifting in big chunks off the road. It was completely undrivable. And it's like, well, this is just insane. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why did we shut down a perfectly good refinery, which was, in the top 10 in the world, in terms of its overall efficiency and reliability, and probably in the top 2 or 3 in terms of the quality of the fuels that it put out.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've all noticed that our fuel consumption has gone up, because the quality of the fuels that we're getting is nowhere near what was produced in country.
All for the sake of profit, hey? Because honestly, when it comes to like reducing the carbon footprint, I don't see how having it shipped halfway across the world improves that in any stretch of the imagination. So it just, anyone with any common sense can see right through that, and it's just it's like being gaslit, right?
Yeah,
Literally.
I think it's more than just profit. I actually think that it's a power play. It's part of the narrative. It's the same thing why they rolled out the vaccines. The vaccines weren't about healthcare. It was about power. It was about controlling people, making people scared enough that they would be begging the government to save them. And what they've done with with shutting down the refinery is create an environment where we are entirely reliant on the government to regulate and the government to save us from high fuel costs, to to work together to build this global empire, in order to allow us to continue to function in what we thought was normal. And at the same time they're continuing to roll out their wicked agenda, under the guise of climate change. Climate change is just another excuse for power. And as a consequence of that, sort of, what have we got now? We've got them rolling out the 15-minute city.
Right.
So we've seen what's going on in Oxford and Cambridge in the UK, where the council has actually passed bylaws whereby they're going to say, well, you can only you should live and work and do everything you need within 15 minutes of within this block that is considered a 15-minute city. And it's a real problem if you happen to be it's not 15 minutes from where you live. It's a block that is considered by the council to be a 15-minute city. And just happen if you happen to be right on the border of that, and just across the border of your 15-minute city is your favourite supermarket or favourite mall or whatever. It's like no. In order to go there, you can't go just across the border. You've got to go right around through their designated arterial route. In order to get to that mall, if you haven't used up all your credits to be able to go across the border at all and access that. We've had it. We've had that sort of being discussed already in our own local councils. It is part of the agenda that is being rolled out. It's the same playbook that has been rolled out here in New Zealand, as has been rolled out in the UK, as will be rolled out in Canada and Australia, and
Yes. It's all kind of meant, I don't know, made to make us more dependent on who they want us to depend on. If you can't refine your own oil there, then they'll
New
just
Zealand,
go ahead and
New Zealand actually sits on one of the largest, largely untapped oil reserves in the world. It's not like we have to import oil from over in Arabia, in Saudi Arabia, which is where we would get most of our heavy crude from. We've got a beautiful light crude, which is great for our transport fuels. Sitting right in our right under our feet. Literally, it's just insane. And it's it's massive. It's absolutely massive resource. And if it's if it's used wisely, then we would never run out. But no, that stuff gets some of it gets pumped out and sent off to Australia. We produce massive amounts of LPG, which is converted into methanol and then shipped off to the US. All export. It's not like not like it's being used here either. It's again another profit thing, and I think this is part of the thing. The whole idea of the global market is, that it always seems more profitable to not sell locally, but to sell far overseas. And New Zealand's a great importer of a great producer of lamb and beef and agricultural products, dairy, and we're now at the stage where it's cheaper to buy Australian meat here in New Zealand than it is to buy the New Zealand meats that's produced here. We're having our pork. Most of the pork that I see in the supermarket is actually from Poland. And we've got fantastic pork farms here. It's not that we have a shortage in what we produce; it's that everything is being manipulated in a way that means that we are always reliant on government, reliant on imports.
That's exactly it. I'm just going to address here a comment. There's a Steven Siegel official wants to know about my love life. So I'm just going to say it's a Nanya business. So not really the topics that we're discussing here right now, but I am very flattered. No, I'm not available, and but thank you for asking. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's so nice to be so popular. But yeah, no, I'm happy, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't worry, I'll be dropping the links in the comments after I've posted the video. I'll go back and I'll put in the links for the channels here. Of course, everybody should know more about Daniel and Operation Good Oil, because I've been following everything too, but I didn't realize it happened in April that the refinery got shut down. I saw that it was going to be happening. You guys were petitioning to keep it open, but I guess the year has flown by a little bit quickly. So time flies.
And it's not that it's just been shut down. They have been progressively dismantling and destroying the refinery as well. So it's now in a state where if it were to be recovered, it would take probably in the order of 2 to 3 years for it to be fully functioning and producing fuel at the quality that it was before it was shut down in April this year. It's really sad. They're throwing. They have, from what I heard, put concrete into the hydrocrackers. They've cut all the cables. They smashed up the control room.
Oh wow.
So this is absolute vandalism. This is destroying critical infrastructure for New Zealand. For profit, for power, for control. Because you control the energy, you control the nation.
Right.
Sort of energy is critical to our food production. And and this is what they want. They want control. They want to be able to starve us whenever we don't comply, whenever we don't go along with their narratives. It's
well, it's all a part of the WEF, the WEF direction, the WEF future of the world. Eat your bugs, back, get Jason. Your bugs. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I dropped a whole bunch of. I just dropped a whole bunch of links and just sent some messages to people to try and coordinate. But yeah, so yeah, I'm back. And
for my number one guest, you're more number two.
That's okay. It's no problem. It's okay. Always there to support the team, Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing, like they definitely did that. This whole energy agenda has actually been planned for quite a while, But there's no way that any nation, like say for example, I'm in Vietnam, there's no way that they could cope with a full move over off oil petrol into EVs. It would literally break the electrical system. The grid would just collapse underneath the weight of it, because there's only enough solar farms and enough gigantic windmills to charge. It's limited. And having 100 million people suddenly switch to EVs, and then having their scooters, the e-bikes and all that. Like in China, actually, I had an e-bike. Oh, Elon. Ooh. I had an e-bike in China. But they're very nifty little things, and it's just to get around about town. I took it on one road trip, and but yeah, I had to supercharge for like 20 minutes, sort of 2/3 of the way to my destination. But there's a supercharger there, and they're not really good for your battery actually to use those superchargers. They're better off having your own charger at home on your own electricity and charging it overnight, and that's much better for the battery. But see, these superchargers, they wear down the battery really fast because they put in a huge surge of energy, so your battery has a shorter lifespan. So, you know, how clean is that? You know, having to keep mining all these materials to have these batteries. And, excuse me. So I have taken it on a bit of a journey, but 100 million people switching to that on an existing electric grid with almost very limited solar power and the windmill farms and all that, it would be chaos. It would be absolutely chaos. The whole thing would collapse overnight.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single country that has the infrastructure in place for any of that. So
no, and this is the issue. This is the major issue.
Yeah.
Well, it's by design. They don't want every country to have the infrastructure for it. They want every country to be, resource poor. And with scarcity, they can control, the control grid. So New Zealand's sort of, I think, maximum capacity in terms of electric vehicles is going to be about 60,000. We're currently over 30, so we're more than halfway from what the current infrastructure is able to cope with. And as it is, in order to maintain what we've got, we're already running our coal-powered generator, pretty much at 100% capacity, because we don't have the hydro and geothermal and wind power capacity to actually meet that need. So we're the EV essentially is coal powered. It's not wind powered. It's not at all renewable.
Karl Barkley here has a good comment. He says, Dave and me have been following every day the fuel tanker ships coming to New Zealand since June. It's taking 18 to 22 days sailing time to get from Asian refineries to New Zealand's ports, and we don't have enough tankers coming in. I've seen that, and I've spoken to a few people in New Zealand that said that you can pull up to a fuel like a gas station and it's closed. You don't have fuel. So I couldn't imagine how frustrating that would be. It would really feel like it's almost like wartime, and you've got to get your rations right. You gotta have always a couple of spare jerry cans. Do you guys call them jerry cans in New Zealand?
Not really. Just fuel cans.
Fuel pan?
Yeah, fuel can.
Gas can.
Yes.
Yeah.
The red thing.
Mr. Karl Barkley.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Seeing it in the comments here. Oh yes, you're addressing it. Go ahead. Yeah.
He's obviously watching. So, Mr. Karl Barkley, if you check your Telegram, a few minutes ago I sent you a message with the link to come on if you're game enough. So we need an expert.
The more the merrier.
We had David Trotter lined up, but he's got himself tied up with something now. Okay. And we want to get onto that tanker thing, because that's probably the most serious issue of the day in New Zealand at the moment, going through a very busy period, the summer period, where there's excessive fuel consumption, and the dilapidated supply was the title of the last the broadcast. That was the title, dilapidated supply. So there's an issue. So Karl, if you game, if you don't really understand, that you might be shy, but I'm pretty sure you're not a shy guy. So this is one of the big issues of the day, the fuel crisis. Daniel, sorry, somebody's checking my messages.
Yeah, David actually lives down the road from me, so catch up with him every now and then. Yeah, they've been doing a good job following the tracking the fuel tankers coming through, and it's kind of interesting. Every time they see kind of a bit of a gap in the reduction of in the fuel tankers and sort of a whole lot of what appears to be a bunch of tankers not turning up. Sort of as soon as they start talking about it, then suddenly there's a whole glut of them come through, sort of just in time to save us from actually running out. So far, we've avoided any major shortages. Well, apart from the jet fuel fiasco for Auckland airports, which was which was sorry, my son just disturbing me. So the Auckland airport fiasco, where fuel fiasco, where actually Marsden put where the refinery was, they now have converted that to a transfer terminal because it's a deep water port, and they have a refinery to airport pipeline that they're still using to supply the bulk of fuel into the Auckland Northern region.
Hey, Daniel, can you hold the mic just a little bit closer? How's that? Yeah, just letting you know.
Is that better?
That's perfect. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So with the issue that actually happened was a couple of weeks back when they offloaded a tanker of A1 jet fuel for Auckland Airport to be sent down the pipeline. They unloaded it into a diesel tank, diesel storage, and mixing it with diesel, of course, and rendering it sort of completely out of spec and unable to be used as jet fuel. And the upshot was that created a A1 jet fuel shortage for Auckland Airport, which is our major international air hub. And creating a bit of an incident. I believe there were a number of flights that actually were diverted to Christchurch Airport, which is way down the other end of the country, because these long-haul airliners couldn't actually afford to land in Auckland and not be able to fuel up, because the shortage was that severe.
So New Zealand, you guys are still
monkey business.
You guys are still pumping oil. So where does the oil go now? Does it just get shipped overseas now to be refined and then shipped back?
Yeah, most of it gets shipped to Australia. Australia has two small refineries. I don't know what percentage that makes up, probably less than 10%. They used to have 10 refineries up until a couple of years ago, when they went through the same process where most of the refineries were shut down, and they started to rely significantly on imported oil. So, again, this is not, what's happened in New Zealand is not at all unique. This has been happening around the world. There is a worldwide refining shortage, particularly for diesel fuel, which is the bulk of the fuel that's used for transport and agriculture. So well, okay, why are they doing this? Why are they shutting down the refineries? Why are they creating a scarcity when there is no need for scarcity? Oil is abiotic. The earth continues to produce it all the time. We will never run out at our current usage rate. There may be shortages if we sort of suck too much oil out of one particular location.
That's right.
Problems. But if we spread our demands, across all the oil fields that we currently know about, and manage that reasonably carefully, then we have no problem whatsoever with ever running into fuel shortages, oil shortages. So it's like, well, what is the agenda here? And I think that again it comes back down to this this concept of it being a control mechanism. You control the resources, control who has access to the resources, use fear to drive people away from using them, as another part of the control mechanism, and make it sound scary and evil to use it, because oil is so bad and so so short in supply and so damaging to our planet, that it makes up. It is the second most abundant liquid on Earth after water.
That's right. That's right. Actually, can I just butt in here for a minute on this topic, because it's one of my favorite topics. So you remember? Well, I don't know. I'm 50 years old, so and I think Daniel is, but you're definitely not the same age as me. I think you're much younger and a little more lovely. But 911, they were trying to pull this whole oil crisis thing just after 911, right? And but I was doing my research at the time, and I was looking on OPEC websites, and while on mainstream media they were screaming that they're running out of their peak oil, peak oil, peak oil, these elites were live on video and their own website at OPEC and slapping each other on the back saying, oh, we had never made so much money, business is doing really well, profits are soaring, and I used to teach English in China, and I was there for 7 years. And when I was there, I was teaching at an adult training school, and I met a Chinese man, and he was a student, and we would talk about stuff like this, and actually we were talking about climate change and peak oil and all that sort of thing. And he was actually a professional explorer, so he works on oil rigs and exploring and getting that stuff out of the ground. And he said to me that it is abiotic. Now, I'd already known about that because I'd heard from the Russians and, online. Back in the days, you used to be able to get really good information online. Now you can't, because it's all very, very censored and dropped down in its algorithm. But, the Russians already knew that oil was abiotic. This is why Russia's not worried about this fuel crisis, because they have plenty. And so he actually gave me an affidavit. The guy actually gave me an affidavit. I didn't keep the affidavit. It got lost during a journey. But I do have the audio version of it. I actually have in Chinese. I still have the audio version because I got a Chinese person to read it out to me, and I recorded it because I was going to make a video about it and use it and then retranslate it back to English again. So the reason for the deception around oil is that the cartels, the big cartels, the oil cartels, they have grabbed hold of the historical books, and they have convinced everybody that it's a fossil fuel, and only to dominate the market. That's the only reason they do it. They want to dominate the market. They wanted to at that point. And I'm picking that these very same people are the ones who also now want to dominate the new green market. They're just jumping from market to market. They're taking advantage of people's naivety, really. And so
we have Karl Barkley in the backstage. Can I bring him on the panel?
Awesome, bring him on.
All right,
yes.
all right, Karl.
Wonderful, wonderful, awesome.
No, oh, he's gone. Shoot, he was there.
He'll come back in a minute.
He was there.
He'll come back. Yeah, he'll come back. I'll tell him to try again.
Try again, Karl.
Yeah, but the reason they don't tell you. The reason I asked, why don't the Chinese government tell their citizens about this? And he said that the cartels, the oil cartels, have got it under so control. They've got it under so much control, the narrative, that even if you told people, they wouldn't believe it, because they look on CNN and they look on Discovery Channel and Nat Geo, and everything's a fossil fuel. Right? So the whole narrative is controlled by these cartels, and even the Chinese and the Russians don't even, they tell the oil explorers know, but the general population, perhaps now that's going to come out in Russia, because Russia's doing a clean slate now. I don't know where that's going to go, but maybe that's going to come out now. But China's definitely not going to say anything about it, because even if you tell people, they just think you're crazy, because they watch the complete opposite on TV. Even National Geographic, even in China, where they do get National Geographic.
It's not letting me bring Karl on. It's just giving me the option of kicking him out, and which I'm absolutely not going to do. So, sorry, Karl. I really, really tried. Hopefully, maybe it'll work, but I don't know if you had your camera on. Maybe because it's off, it wasn't giving me the option. But I did try to bring you on the panel just now, I promise.
Is
So
is his camera on?
it showed
Yeah, he's using a
us.
phone.
Oh, I'm using my phone. That's all I'm
Turn your
using.
camera on there, Carl. Tap on the little camera. There.
Because that might be why. Because it's the only reason I can think of. Because yeah,
Yeah. Let me jump out for a minute and see if we can take an extra space. He can take my space, and I'll check the live stream anyway. I want to do some technical things to check the live stream, see how things
sure.
are going. So
I have.
I'll jump out of the studio, and then you can
Okay.
see if you can bring him in, and I'll
All right.
I'll track you through the live stream.
I have some more questions for Daniel.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah. So Daniel, so you said you were at the Wellington protests like pretty much every day.
Yep, I was there pretty much every day. Just helping out, doing what I could.
You worked in the
Driving.
food tent, you said?
I helped set it up. Didn't really work there much. One of my daughters did. My oldest daughter was there the day after the first time the police tried to push people off the grounds. I took her in, and some wonderful man had brought a whole lot of free range eggs from the Hawke's Bay, some 350 odd kilometres away, and just boxes of them, thousands of eggs, and so my daughter was cracking eggs onto the grill, making bacon and egg butties uh, um, for breakfast for all those that were there, and so I was there involved in that.
That's
When the
fantastic.
police were trying to push people off the grounds, I was there in the front line.
That was the
For
first
a bit
time,
as well.
right? When
The
they
first
made
time round.
when they made the police line and they were just grabbing people randomly out of
Yeah.
the crowd. Yeah, that was really, really, really hard to watch. I was switching between a few of the live streams, and oh my goodness, it was absolute insanity, just the brutality. And of course the pictures. There's the young man Alexander. That picture of him being pinned on the ground by the police using his full weight on his head. I'm so glad he was back the next day. So I don't know if Alexander, if you're going to watch this at any point, I just want to salute you. You're a very brave, very strong, inspiring young man. So thank you for coming back the next day, because I saw the interview too. So that's what I did. I sat in my home in British Columbia and basically just yelled at my phone in frustration that I couldn't be a part of it, physically be in Ottawa. So I'm really glad you got to actually go to the Freedom Village and you were a part of it, like right up until the end. That is just, you've got that in your heart forever now. So come what may, it's when you get to the day where you face your ancestors, they'll have a nice haka for you, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
I love that that the haka was performed there too. I was watching that actually. I had just educated my mom on what the haka was, and after the first time the police came in and brutalized you guys, I was like, oh, this isn't going to sit well. They're going to do the haka, Mom. And I explained it to my mom, who's in her 80s. And I made her watch some of the haka videos on YouTube. And she had goosebumps. She's a very, very conservative Christian woman. But she had goosebumps and she was just so thrilled. So, of course, it was the next day I was watching one of the live feeds. And all of a sudden it just started happening. I was watching and I went absolutely out of my mind. I grabbed my phone. I went running over to my mom and I said, Mom, they're doing the haka. And we just sat there and watched. We had goosebumps all over. And it was just absolutely amazing. Just that, just, no, there's like a no nonsense come at me, right? It's almost like, well, it's kamate, right? But it sounds like just, like, we're just fed up. And it's powerful. It's absolutely powerful. So
it is a powerful thing. And they actually did several hakas during the time that I was there. Well, during that, actually quite a few. I think most days there would be one in the end. But it was, it's just a real expression of, not hatred, but of protest.
Hmm.
And um,
It's
you
a
know,
challenge, right? It's meant as a
it
challenge
is.
because,
It's meant. It depends on the haka actually. Some hakas are meant purely as a challenge. Some of them are very sort of inspired out of kind of a war posture. Come at me, kind of thing. And some of them are also an expression um, of frustration, and and wanting to solve things. It's not necessarily just an aggressive thing. And
hmm,
it is. It is very much an appropriate protest stance. And the hakas. There were a number of hakas there which were performed, which were typical. Were different from the typical haka which you have, which the All Blacks would perform.
right.
So they're actually creating this haka to bring a specific message and a specific um, point or complaint or petition. So there's actually quite a lot, quite a lot in there. And I'm not particularly schooled in it. But it was quite. I noted that there were some quite different hakas that were performed over that period. But
Well, sorry, go ahead.
one of the big things that really struck me was the difference between those that were that between the politicians, between the police, and their action. The police during both of the big actions really, and particularly on that first one, what I noticed was they wouldn't grab the big people, the ones that would stood up. They were always grabbing the woman and
Right.
the young guys, the skinny wiry ones, and that they could get their hands on. Sort of they weren't really going for the big tall beefy blokes like me.
No,
Uh,
they're not going to take on a Maori warrior. No, they're going to
no,
grab the little guy that he's blocking. You know.
yeah, and that was that was the thing. It was that first time round, sort of they were trying to demoralise people, and it had the opposite effect.
It did.
Anybody that was watching it, when at the start of the day there were barely 500 people on the grounds, and by the end of the day there was 2,500. The ground was absolutely packed. And that was just people that were within a couple of hours drive. Saw what was going on, got in their cars, and went to Wellington.
I remember the
And
call going out. I remember that.
yeah,
And while I was watching it live, I was sharing it to all the Canadian groups that I could because I wanted everybody that I could, if they could, to be a witness to that. And so I was, and it was nice because I would share it, and then I started seeing comments, watching from Canada, hold the line from Canada, we're with you in Canada. And it was very, very encouraging. And I was, but yeah, I knew that that was not gonna just sit with people. That was not gonna sit very well at all. And I think it was the next day, right, when
yeah,
there was way more people, and then of course the haka,
yeah,
and
yeah, absolutely. And from there on, it just grew. Sort of over the weekends, we would have 30,000 people there, sort of surrounding the parliamentary precinct. It was just huge. It was packed, packed, absolutely chocker full. You could, it was really difficult to actually get any stuff in. And the thing that really amazed me was the way that the generosity that came with that. People were constantly bringing food and making donations, to help make sure that everybody was provided for. And it was, that was the thing that really struck me. It was what drew me at the start. When I first went, I actually went the day before when I heard about the kitchen being set up and them calling for resources and stuff, and I took some of my big homebrew kettles and gas burners and stuff in to help. And I just saw the food that had come in at that stage, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a bit bigger. And I'd been watching some of the live streams of the convoy travelling down the country and up the country, and just going, this is going to be really, this is something else. This is going to be a historic thing, and so I wanted to help, and and then when the convoy rolled in, and with the convoy rolled in, more food came,
Right.
and every time somebody was saying, "Oh, we need this," it would just appear, sort of within minutes.
It's amazing when people can just start, say they see a need, and then if they can, they meet it. And the same thing in Ottawa. People, the homeless were given warm clothes. They were fed anything that they wanted. If there was a food truck or a food tent, somebody that was making food, it was like, come on over. No, of course you don't have to pay for it. Just come on over. Let's feed you. Let's make sure that everybody just gets nice and full, and just because it was such a togetherness of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different different provinces. It came all over, and just the thing that made us all the same was just we were all Canadian, and we just wanted the change. We just wanted to have the freedoms back that we had grown used to, and that we absolutely deserve, that we're kind of being snuck out the back door behind everybody's back. Look over here, and then don't look at what we're doing here, which is still happening. But it's very encouraging to see that way more people are awake to that now, and they can see it. The bills that are being snuck through it's just not it's painful, and it's encouraging too. It's a heavy burden to have to know what's happening, and then to do what you can, and then it just it just feels like the bad guys are always, they're more funded, they're way more vicious. Like there's no low that the haters will stoop to. And it's just the way it is. So then you have to be better than them, because that's, you can't stoop to their level, so you don't. And but it really is. It's amazing how peaceful everybody was, and just loving. And the music, like you guys had that beautiful mural on the wall that everybody kind of just went in and got the chalk art out. I love that mural. I loved it. I loved seeing the pictures. We had like a small version. Somebody did one on one of our concrete blocks. They had the freedom across it, and I took a picture of that because it reminded me. And then, of course, the fact that our parliament is on Wellington Street, which I thought was fantastic. Here we got Wellington and Wellington. So, like, for me, there was so much that brought us together, even though we're so far apart. But in the end, it's like our hearts were all beating as one, and it was absolutely amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing to see all the support. And now I hear that there's when you guys still have your protests, there's a few people that I know that actually go there. Jeff, for example, and David and his mom, they bring their Canada flags along, which is absolutely just it fills my heart right up. Absolutely amazing. So of course I've got my flag. I've got this one here, but I've got one on a pole, my Canadian flag, and tucked in right beside, I've got two flags. I've got the New Zealand one, and I've got the Canadian one. So when I'm out and I'm waving my flag, there's a New Zealand flag in there. So I like to represent you guys too, because in the end we are all the same. We're all part of the human race, and we just want what's best for everybody. We just want the choice the choices that we deserve and that we want, just to live with freedom. How is that so horrible? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You know, I hope that in the coming year that we can overcome, those that seek to continue to control us. That we can overcome this, this situation. It won't go on forever. And the biggest thing we have to do, we don't have to fight on their terms and use their tactics. If we all stand strong and firm and just and push back, in a peaceful but but firm manner, then they have no power over us. They cannot control us. We are always going to be more resourceful for them because we can think. We don't live in fear of them. And there is nothing to fear from them. They can deprive us of resources, but we can always find new resources. We can always find a new way.
Right. The Kiwi ingenuity.
Absolutely.
Like when they removed your portaloos, and you guys just tapped right into the public septic system, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Right? Just oh, there's a problem. All right, problem solved. Here, one of us. Hey, you bring the tools. At this. All right, problem solved. It's just it was amazing to see. Absolutely amazing. Like David Hosking. I like the way he said it. They build a better mousetrap, we build a smarter mouse. So it's just come back smarter and stronger and just persevere. That's what we can do. This is a marathon, it's not a race, and they've had one hell of a head start. So they've had decades already.
But that's the thing too. That was really exemplified there at Parliament. At Freedom Village, there was nobody at the top saying this is how it's going to be done. It was just people talking together and working out themselves. Okay, we're going to build the peat hive, the wooden toilet structure, and tap it into the sewer system. And they found the right people to do the job and made sure that it was done properly. So this is not some hole in the ground. This is a structure. They found out where the sewer was. They looked at all the plans. They made sure that they were pulling the right thing. They made sure that they sealed it properly, so that it wouldn't smell and all the rest of it. This is professional stuff. This is not some sort of nasty bodge job that's going to fail in 5 minutes. This was, the real deal.
It was like you guys had a few contractors in the crowd, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
There were a lot of talented people there.
Yeah, we had electricians, we had, we had plumbers, we had engineers. We were building. They built properly structured stage. The tents were bolted down to the concrete. The tents and the gazebos were bolted down to the concrete. And everything to make sure that they weren't so easy to pull down. There was something about that place, and people would just work together, work it out amongst themselves to make sure that it was all.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm just glad you guys were still here. Yeah, just remember, don't press the back button. Press the left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that it's still going on.
that was my first concern. Was like, oh no, it's all over now, but it's not. I'm so glad. Yeah. So
now I've got that little video lined up. I've got that little video lined up because I know there's probably some international people here from the Rosie Convoy channel watching. So I'm just going to do a share screen now. With StreamYard, I'm not familiar with it because I use OBS, but if you can focus on, if I share my screen, I guess it will knock out all the cameras. That's the idea of it. It's what's supposed to happen, like on Zoom and on Skype and all that. People can actually see the main, what's on the screen. So let's just give it a try.
Okay, it says solo layout, so I'll click that. And, oh, there you go. All right, it's working.
Okay, all right. So I'm just going to flippy this here.
Okay.
And here we are. The video is called Power to the People.
Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember this song.
And can you see what's on my screen?
I can see your face. Can't see what's on the screen just yet.
Oh, maybe I just click onto this one, do I?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out together.
I see two of me here. I see my main picture and I see my screen.
Rosie Convoy, can you speak to what happened at the Hast's Eagle? I don't know what that is. You'll have to.
Okay, we can scrap that. We'll have to do some techie dive next time. So we'll scrap that. So you can take us back to the multicam.
All right. Yeah, like that.
We'll work it out. Don't worry. We'll do it next time.
I like StreamYard. It's pretty easy to follow along and just, as long as you don't press that little back button. Because that one, yeah. I've done it a few times, been on a live panel and you just click it and all of a sudden, oh man. And then you get back on and they're like, you pressed the back button, didn't you? It's like, yes. So, so you
That's
guys,
interesting. You can't see two of me there.
No.
no.
I think if you do the present button, then that allows you to share.
Yep, I'm doing that. I'm presenting now. It says I'm screen sharing. Sharing, yep, says I'm screen sharing.
I have no idea what happened. So the Hast Eagle, am I pronouncing it right? It's a massive bird that used to be in New Zealand. I don't know. I'll have to Google what happened. Is it extinct now? Is it like the oh, I can't remember. What's the huia? Is that a bird? The huia? The huia.
The moa?
I don't know.
Huia is a place where I used to go camping. It's awesome. The Huia Falls.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, up into the ringy there. Huia. Yeah. I think you're talking about the moa, wouldn't it? It would be the moa, the extinct gigantic bird.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a gigantic, kind of the ostrich family, moa, gigantic bird. Anyway, they were dinner often.
Well, yeah, if they're like an ostrich or like an emu, then I suppose, yeah, the drumsticks on that would probably feed a family.
That'd be pretty nice. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, I got the...
Okay, so how's Mr. Karl looking? Are we able to bring him in?
It was still this... Oh, let's see if it works. Oh, here, I can put this on, add to stream. There's your video. And Karl, add to stream. Yay! Look, we're just a big old happy family now. Hey!
Beautiful. Okay. Okay, very quickly, let me just play this video. Let me just get this out of the way so we can move on.
Welcome to the panel, Karl.
A bit of an interlude. Hi, Karl. Welcome.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
I can't get the camera. The browser says I can't engage.
That's okay. We can hear you. So I think Jason wants to. We want to watch this video. I think it's 3 minutes long, and then it's so nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's play it.
There we go.
I'm going to mute my mic as well.
Thank you.
Try muting your mic for a minute.
All right.
For you freedom fighters out there, go New Zealand. Gather all the people, Lord. Gather all
the screen. Where'd it go? Oh, where'd it go? Okay, I don't know. Is it paused? It stopped playing all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Jason? Oh, you're frozen too.
Yeah, I think Jason froze up.
Just like that Madonna song, he's frozen. Oh, just in time. Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Awesome. Done. I guess
remember
it dropped out at the end there.
I remember when you made that. I remember when you made that video. So welcome, Karl. Whereabouts in New Zealand? Whereabouts from New Zealand? Like, where are you about?
Oh, I'm in, where am I? Palmerston North at the moment.
Okay, is that in the North Island or the South Island?
North of Wellington.
Oh, okay. So you were in Wellington. I saw your comments. I was reading them as they went by. So were you in the convoy on the way over, or did you just go to Wellington when it was all kind of building up there?
I started at Mercer because I was at Pukekohe, and a group of us were at Mercer welcoming them there from when they came down from far north, and we fed them that night, and then I joined the convoy as we headed about, I don't know, 10 o'clock or later into Hamilton.
Okay.
And I lost them. And then I made my own way down to Wellington. I tried to catch up with them again in Palmerston North, but I still couldn't find them. So I decided I'd be the advance party and get down there early and see what was going on, and set myself up at the little, they call it the middle gate at Parliament.
Okay.
Every time there's a protest in Parliament and I go there, that's where I always set my van up. So I thought, I've got to be on that spot, representing Pike River and 1080 Poison, and then it was the convoy, and now it's Marsden Point Oil Refinery. So we just keep having all these reasons to keep going back to our Parliament. But as I was saying before, you know, we're trying to fight them, but we need to get rid of them. They're all a corporation. We need the documents. I need a copy of those documents that prove they are a corporation, and then we can just turn this whole thing around on them, that they've got no jurisdiction over the people of this country. It comes down to that simple document that shows that they are registered as a corporation somewhere. People keep telling me about it, but nobody can give me the paper. I want the physical paper in my hand, and I will act on that paper.
All right. So if anyone can help Karl out, yeah, you can message me, or you can, I don't know, find Karl. You're on Facebook, right? Are we Facebook friends yet?
Yeah, I just had trouble with Facebook. It kept blocking me out, so I've just closed my page down. Hope they're going to start it up again. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
No truth from you.
Yeah, no. The other thing is, I just put up a link earlier on in this program for people to buy some shares through Sherry's, who I buy my shares for Marsden Point for the challenge infrastructure. You only have to pay, I've bought 100 shares, which is just over $140 now. Oh, it's actually less than that because I bought them when they were cheaper. And if we get a group of us, like 1,000 or 10,000 of all shareholders, we should be allowed to go to Marsden Point because we actually own it. And we should be able to go to all the board meetings and cry them down and vote them out of all their decisions they're making, and virtually get rid of the management that's running the place. If the government doesn't want to take action, because the government actually is totally responsible for what happened, because through Z Energy, which the government had as our retirement fund, and ACC, through those two shareholdings, they had over a 30% stake in Marsden Point Oil Refinery. And for the government to say they had no control, they had total control. They're the ones that sold Z Energy to Ampol, and the conditions of sale of Ampol was that Marsden Point had to shut down. So the government is totally responsible for what's happened, and we need to force that back onto them.
Yeah, it's time to take some of the power back. Absolutely. So, yeah, let me know if there's anything I can do. You know, I can share it as much as I can. I know a few Kiwis who would definitely be up for helping me share that around, and we'll see if we can get you the 10,000 shareholders.
Well, 10,000 plus. The thing is, I've got a group of shareholders in Auckland or in the New Zealand, and some of them have got hundreds of thousands of the original shares, which are still worth $40 each. So 100,000 times 40 is quite a lot of money, isn't it? But unfortunately, these guys are in their 80s and 90s, and about 5 years ago they tried to stop this from happening, but because they didn't have the controlling shares, I don't know why they didn't have the controlling shares, but the oil companies managed to get it, and the government, I presume it's the government more than anything, managed to force their hands. We had COVID come in, which shut things down. The bitumen didn't just disappear since the refinery shut down. It disappeared 2 years ago or more. That's when all this trouble, these roads started happening. It wasn't just, the refinery shut down in April this year. No, this goes back at least 2 years when they started importing this poor quality stuff. So it's all been orchestrated.
Karl, this was what initially delayed the transmission gully construction, right?
I'm not
the
sure
bitumen
what
problem. Is that part of it?
Oh no, they had water problems. There's water coming from underground. It's built on it's built in an area that's prone to a lot of slips and stuff. So
transmission gully is local to me, and the biggest issue that they had, from what I heard, was that they had a lot of young university trained engineers working on it, and all the older ones had been forced to, or just had left the industry. So there were a lot of mistakes that were made because they simply didn't have the experience with that kind of scale roading project at the management level to actually do it right. And of course, at the time, which would have been prime time for them to actually focus on finishing it during the COVID lockdowns, instead they decided that they weren't going to do anything. So, further delaying the project. So, sort of.
From what I've been told, a company came in from overseas with the machine to lay the asphalt, and they saw how they were doing it in New Zealand, and the guy said, "We're not having anything to do with this," and walked away. He said, in Europe, when we put asphalt down, it goes down at 400 mils thick, not 25 mils thick like you idiots are putting it on your roads, and they walked away from it. So most of our roads now have only got this thin layer. You're lucky if it's got 50 mils of asphalt on it, where it should have a great big thick layer of asphalt. And that possibly is why we're having so much failure, because asphalt is a soft medium to seal the top of the gravel. But it needs a bigger volume to give it the loading. Those trucks were running around 55 heavy haulage trucks. They're pounding the shit out of these roads, and everybody says, "Oh, it's okay, it's all spread over all these tires," but it still comes back to the double axle, dual wheels that drive the truck. The rest of the tires might be carrying the load, but all the load to stop and start that truck comes out of those two axles. And that is where the issues come from, especially if you're working on hill country, trying to climb up a hill with a truck that's pulling 50 tonne behind you. It's all going into those two drive axles.
Yeah.
If you take it back to 40 tonne, you've taken 10 tonne out of the load. It's not so much stress on the asphalt or the chip with those wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some crazy potholes out here too. It's
You're losing many in our ones.
Oh man, even the potholes have potholes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have to pop out. I've got to go and pack and move to go and catch up with my brother, who's just flying in yesterday from Australia over at my parents' place. About an hour's drive from here, so I'm going to sign off here. And
Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for continuing to hold the line, and for being there in Wellington, and for just your help in the kitchens there, and for especially for being here today. It's it's fantastic, absolutely a privilege to have you here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Honk
thank
honk
you.
convoyers. Honk honk.
Honk honk.
Yeah, and I hope you'll have a wonderful New Year's celebration, and let's start 2023 pushing hard to bring an end to this globalist agenda and restoring our freedoms.
Fingers crossed, right? Freedom.
Absolutely, wise words.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, mate.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, Daniel.
Cool.
All the best to you and your family.
Thank you.
I'm going to shoot some questions at Karl. Carl, have I still got your ears on? You still got your ears on?
I'm still listening. Yep.
All right, very good. So, what's the situation with the tankers at the moment, or the non-situation? What has caused David Trotter to title his latest report "Dilapidated Supply"? What's the situation?
What Dave and me have been following these tankers. Well, I've been doing it since June on Marine Tracker. It's a website, and every day I would go and look for tankers, and I had them all on my fleet. I could register them as my fleet, and I could find those tankers anywhere around the world, really. And as they came and went from New Zealand, I could then track them on their progress around the world, whether they're coming back to us again or not. And it's got to be quite a big fleet. There's over 130 tankers out there that have come to New Zealand so far, and some of them have come here more than once. Some of them are coming here 4 or 5 times. We also discovered that they weren't all fuel tankers. Some of them were molasses, some of them were caustic soda, some of them other acids, bitumen, and tallow and methanol. So we had to take all them out of the mix as well. So the numbers that they say we've got coming here, they say, oh, look, we've got all these tankers coming, but really some of them are not that number, and others are coming more often. So they boost the numbers back up again. But about, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Dave and me were communicating on a daily basis, and I said to Dave, we're struggling to find these tankers, aren't we? And he says, yeah. One of the ladies, Alison, had put us on to going to the port companies and looking at their schedules. And I had gone to the schedules once before just to find out what the tankers were coming in with, because it would usually give us an indication what the products were, not just petroleum, but acids and other things, molasses and things like that. So I was using that as just occasionally. But when you go on there and then start downloading their schedule and look for it for the whole month, it starts, where's the tankers? And Dave and me were saying, hell, there's not many tankers on this schedule. Like, we're looking a month out. And then in more recent days, you do it again, like I've just done it again for this month coming, and the numbers are not there. There's a lot of cruise liners coming in. There's plenty of container ships and log carriers and stuff like that. But actual physical fuel tankers coming here with petroleum product on, it's very, very limited. And I'm to a point where I'm concerned we don't have enough to sustain New Zealand's economy. I don't know, I might be seeing it wrong, but hey, I've been watching this since June, and it's definitely dropped off from what we had. We had about 5 or 6 tankers a week coming to New Zealand. We're down to 3, maybe 4 at the most at the moment, and a lot of them are going to Marsden Point. It's a 1/4 drop off, and then they bugger off again. So as far as the South Island and that goes, it's looking very sparse.
Well,
How long do you think it's going? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
I was
Rosie.
just going to say, Karl, I think you have a point. I mean, if it looks like a duck's and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, I think you've got a very good point there.
It's probably a mallard.
Well, I've also seen I've seen another post I've put up, and it talked about what did it say? There's a restriction on Russia, Belarus, Turkey, Saudi Arabia and China as far as oil supplies go around the world. Now, this coming from the UN. They're putting sanctions on all those countries to stop them supplying oil to the world or supplying petroleum products to the world. And then it goes on to say, oh well, there's going to be a supply chain issue with fuels around the world, and people are going to run short of fuels. And they're talking. Biden talked about when he came into power about the black winter or something like that. And we see that in Europe now, where they're not getting the fuels to heat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Dark winter. Yeah, well, that's the whole that thing is a self-inflicted wound. What's going on in there? The whole zero carbon initiative and the zero methane initiative and the 3,000 farms in the Netherlands being taken out and the fuel system being taken out. You know, as you all know, if you've listened to State of the Nation, you know that I'm not in New Zealand, and we're having the opposite effect. We're living in a country which is considered seemingly not normal anymore because we are not going along with this, and we're keeping the economy going, and we're keeping the petrol going, and they are tinkering with different alternative fuels, alternative energies, and combining them all, and for a practical use, not just completely dumping on petrol and diesel and oil per se. They're not actually dumping on it. So they're doing they're managing it in a very practical manner. And I think, you know, how old are we? I mean, you're a lot older than I am. I think you're about 65 or something, and I'm 50, and I'm not sure how old young Rosie is here, probably 19 still. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, this is obvious mathematics. I mean, these people think that the intelligent engineers like yourself cannot see through this, you know? It's very blatantly obvious that it's seemingly incompetence or purposeful.
Oh, I think it's all planned. When you look at this article I saw, it was talking about the next pandemic that's coming. That they've got another one planned, but for it to come into effect, everybody has to be in fear. There has to be a huge amount of fear to make people bow down and take the next jab. Like, I'm staying with my daughter and my son-in-law. I just happened to talk to them yesterday before they went on holiday. They've gone away for the weekend. She's been double jabbed, and my son-in-law had been boosted, so he's got 3 lots now, and he's got his own business. And I'm sort of saying to my daughter, I says, "You're not going to have the booster." She, "Oh, I'm still thinking about it." She says, I haven't got COVID and I haven't got sick, but then every time I go and visit, she's always got the flu and she can't get over the cold. But she can't put that down that maybe her immune system's not working. But yeah, I think there's a plan. They talked about climate being the big issue, but if they crash the fuel industry, how do we function as a people in the world? We are totally reliant on using fuel to do everything. Mm-hmm. Transport, getting around by planes, cars, my farming friends, road construction, everything relies on some sort of fuel. And to shut down an oil refinery in New Zealand, which was giving us at least 70% of our fuel, 80% or more of our jet fuel, 100% of our bitumen, the CO2 and sulfur that was coming off of byproducts, now having to be imported. And I talked to Bock a number of months ago when I was in the South Island, talked to the senior guy down there, and he said, we used to ship 20-ton pressurised containers of CO2 from Marsden Point to the South Island. He said for the whole of New Zealand, now we have to import 200 20-ton containers. He says we just can't get enough of them. They're not being circulated around on the ships regular enough to give their supply chain working properly. They're talking they may have to get another 100 of these containers. So that's adding more cost to your fizzy drink and your tomatoes and your tomato house and whatever else is using CO2. It's unbelievable what's going on. And then the sulfur, I don't like sulfur because it's been used for fertilizer, but hey, they were taking it out of our diesel and our jet fuel, so it wasn't going into the atmosphere, it was just going into the soil and making plants grow for the farmers. So.
Just
And
one
the CO2 was
1
being
minute.
taken over.
Sorry, one
And-
second, Karl. I want to invite David to the panel.
Oh,
We
good.
can see you, David. We can hear you.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm a bit late this morning. It is Saturday morning, and yeah, I slept in as usual. Missed my alarm, but I apologise for that. So I
It's
do
the
apologise.
holidays. You're
Yeah, well, Saturday.
you're forgiven.
Thank you, thank you, and good morning to you all as well. So yeah, it was Saturday, and it's my usual mental thing. Saturday morning, I always just go slumber time, and that's it. So, I just caught up in the conversation there. So yeah, Carl, you did right. I mean, the CO2 did actually affect my favourite thing was beer production as well. Sorry to mention that, but
No, that's it. That's it.
yeah, some of my favourite beers were actually taken from the shelves because I was informed by one of the distributors from Schweppes and Coca-Cola that yeah, they did actually pull off the shelves their cheaper line of fizzy drinks, not just beer, fizzy drinks included, beers and the ever so cheap fizzy drinks because it wasn't profitable for them to keep them going because of the state of the CO2 supply. It was, they use it to, in beer production, they use the CO2 as well to push the beer through the tubes, through the pipes, into the bottles. So it's not just for a carbonization, it's just to push it through so it doesn't contaminate the product. And they says, we can't afford to do this any longer because we can't get it. And what we can get is costing us way too much. So the price went up for the CO2 that they could get. And so they thought, okay, we'll dump the cheaper product. We'll keep on pushing the good products through. And that's why they had to pull a lot of the drinks from the shelves. So I mean, it's just another thing. It keeps going on down the line.
Right.
That's right.
So-
Now, having removed those products, those are what we call the generic brands from, say, I don't know if Foodtown exists. Foodtown, they have their own brands. Like they go to Coca-Cola and they say, we want a no frills product with bland packaging, and we want to sell it. And Coca-Cola go ahead and make that. So that means that Coca-Cola is now prioritizing their own brands and actually leaving the premium brands from the supermarket chains, leaving them out in the dark, and then removing them. So that's actually explains what's happened there.
Yeah,
They're throwing the supermarkets under the bus, and they're only focusing on their own brands. With, of course, Coca-Cola owning all of the water in the world now, I guess, by the sounds of it. They get cheaper deals than anybody else.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The guy at the bottle store, we call them bottle stores, Rosie, or the bottle supermarket, the liquor store, at the bottle store. That's exactly what he told me, that they're prioritizing the good brands to try and make a profit again, because even the good brands that don't sell so much, because it does cost them a lot of money to make those really good brands of beer. They're concentrating there because that's where they can make a profit from. And this is what's happening right here in New Zealand. And even on the radio, and even in Radio New Zealand, I did read the same remarks and the same comments as well, that some of the more boutique breweries, the smaller ones like the Garage Projects, who are really good brands, and some of the smaller breweries around the Wellington area were actually having to close down and stop production because they can't get the CO2. Never mind can't afford it, they just can't get it any longer. So it's causing a big chain reaction right the way through. And they didn't make any mention of the closure of Marsden Point, which was your fundamental, root reason why you're lacking CO2. They just didn't see it. They didn't include it there. If they had included it, then they could have brought more. They could have brought up an awareness in other people's minds that, hey, this is what a refinery did. Never mind the petrol, diesel, petroleum grades, sulfur for fertilizer, bitumen for our really bad roads that we have right now. But the CO2. I mean, how basic a product is that? I mean, I was not aware of the CO2 production that Marsden Point made. I was totally ignorant of that as well at the time. But now I know, it's crazy.
So that would put out companies like SodaStream pretty much out of business.
Yeah, stuff like that. And that's the thing. Is we're seeing a lot of shortages in supermarkets as well. I mean that could be to do with a global food supply chain shortage, but there's got to be other factors there and it brought into that as well. It's not just. I mean, you could say that we're a small global market on our own, being an island at the south of the Pacific. We are a small global village. We rely on everything that comes in and around this country. I mean, I think a lot of us kind of neglect that we are actually a little global village, and what is grown here, what is distributed around here, we rely on that so much. One thing goes wrong in our food chain and food supply and our transport supply, we are absolutely totally stuffed, if you know what I mean. Like if a few of our trucks go missing, then we've got shortages, and that's it. I mean, if one of our ferries has a delay coming up from the South Island that's carrying groceries and foodstuffs, then we're going to feel the pinch of it. We will feel that pinch in the North Island, just through one truck.
The other thing too is the CO2 was used in glass houses to grow tomatoes and stuff like that, and it was also used in the processing of meat to make it sterile before they froze it down when they vacuum pack like chicken and stuff like that before they freeze it. So they're talking like Tegel and places like that are running short of gas to do their processing. And I was talking to somebody from McDonald's who came over and talked to me when I had my sign up, and he said, we can't, McDonald's and KFC have come up with an agreement between the two of them that McDonald's will stop selling McNuggets because there's not enough chickens around for the KFCs to keep doing their chicken. And he said also there's not the CO2 to allow us to do our drinks the same. So it's just even affecting fast food organisations, which are huge around the world. And it's all part of the cutting back the food production, because a lot of people rely on those fast foods. That's why we have so much obesity in this world. But that's another issue, isn't it?
And that's something you never even realize how much you miss it until it's gone, which they snuck right underneath. Suddenly it's gone, and now the chain effect. Now, David's favorite beers are affected. I mean, you couldn't even get them for the holidays. That right there. I mean, that's I hope
CO2 is used in fire extinguishers and all sorts of things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to another one of the suppliers, Lindy's, or what do they call themselves? French company in New Zealand. He was talking about something else that CO2 was used for, but I can't remember what it was. It was quite huge, but I never even thought about it. But, yeah, go back and have a check to him.
Possibly something medical, hey?
Could have well been.
Imagine. Yeah.
That's the other issue we've got going on in this country too, is the guy from Box said, well, if they've shut down the CO2 production in this country, the next thing they'll do is they'll shut down Glenbrook Steel Mill up near Auckland, and that makes huge big quantities of oxygen for the steel making process. He said once that happens, there'll be no bottled oxygen at your hospital. There'll be no bottled oxygen for your welding and gas cutting, because it's only the fact that it's cheap and available because of this huge, great big steel mill that's making it for their use, and what's left over goes into the rest of the consumers, which is a small volume compared to what the steel mill's using.
Right.
So he said that's the next thing will happen, and that they keep going on about CO2 and the sequestering CO2 and pushing it back into the soil. There was another article I saw, and it said that if they keep doing that, there won't be enough CO2 to actually for photosynthesis to make oxygen for the human race. The human race needs CO2 to survive, but they're trying to limit it in the world, which then depletes the human race. There's three major things that keep the human race going: CO2, oxygen, and sunlight. Well, guess what they keep doing to the sunlight? They got Mr. Bill Gates' dimming, clouding things over. You've got the CO2 sequestration. They want to try and get that out of the atmosphere and put it in the soil. And then the next thing is, how do we get rid of oxygen? Well, no CO2 is going to deplete your oxygen. Plus, also, you switch on the 5G, and apparently 5G travels through the atmosphere through the oxygen, but it also scavenges the oxygen while it's doing it.
Oh. So
when 5G becomes a major piece of communication, which I don't think it is at the moment, it is possibly going to starve us of more oxygen out of our atmosphere. It's only 22%. And the silly thing with CO2, it's only 0.04%, or half a percent, 0.4. It's not even an issue. The human body puts out 95 times more CO2 every time you breathe out. It goes from 400 parts per million to 38,000 parts per million every breath, and you breathe 12 or 20 times a minute. CO2 is not the problem.
You got that right.
Karl,
The problem is the politicians and the green people that think they're onto the right case.
It's more control, right?
They're a lobby group that's trying to destroy humanity. But they're only a small percentage. There's more of us than what there is of them. But
if they could help it.
Well, not with us jabbing people's brains out of existence.
Yeah, and the problem I see there with the small percentages, the larger percentage people won't actually wake up and actually do anything about it until it's too late. And by the time,
we can see that with the farmers.
Yeah,
where were the farmers back when we had the protests? The only farmers that stood up are the ones in Canada and the ones in Europe. I don't see any New Zealand farmers standing up.
No, you won't. It will take them right up until the last moment. But as I was going to say, by that time it will be too late.
Too late.
It will be too late. But, time to pick up your spades and shovels, your pickaxes and your pitchforks, as in the 17th century style. That is all you will have left. They've already taken your guns from you. You have nothing left.
Well, they're working on it here.
It was too late when they shut down the refinery, because that gave us fuel security and somewhere to re-refine product that came in that was out of spec. We've lost that. We've got no. It's going to be a major thing to get New Zealand back on track again. Huge.
I actually don't think, as I was going to say again, I don't think you'll actually manage to get it back on track. As I was going to say, it will be too late by the time you try and wake up the rest of these people. They're so dumbfounded in what they've already done. It's an admission of guilt and stupidity. That's what you've got to get these people to wake from. Hang on, Karl. You've got to try and get these people awake to the fact that they've taken something that they not needed to take. You've blinded them with science that didn't exist in the first place. And now what you've got to try and do is try and wake these people up to the realization that, hey, you made a mistake. If you try and wake someone from that, you've got a hard job. That's what I mean. Most of that ferocity that we needed at the beginning will be gone from their human spirit. It's already been taken away. I mean, and there's no praying to God, there's no religion, and there's no chemicals or drugs that you're going to give these people to wake them back up again without the absolute admission, okay, we were wrong. We should have listened to you guys when you were in Parliament trying to stand up for our rights, and there was only 10,000 of you. The same with the Canadians as well. The same what happened in Canada. Keep on trucking for the free world. That's what it was all about. But until we can get to that stage where have them admit, okay, now what do we do? Well, stand with us. This is what we need to do. This is how we're going to move forward as a nation, as one people. Never mind black, white, never mind religious. Don't discriminate against black, colour, religion, creed, whatever sex type you identify with. It's time you actually moved up, step up to the plate and come with us and listen to what we're trying to say to you.
Yeah, they have us fighting a social war to distract us from the class war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing,
That's the
the
whole
other thing is we haven't got any politicians. We haven't got any politicians with the will to want to do that for us anyhow, because we saw that at Parliament and we've seen it since. So none of them are standing up and making any issues out of it. When we confronted Luxon about the refinery, he said he'll make it an election issue. I said, mate, it's an issue right today. We were a month when they were just doing the cleanup. I said, you've got a month now to finish the cleanup and then mothball it. And then do something about getting it going again. He said, we'll make it an election issue. It's too late. He is part of the closing it down, part of this biofuel for aeroplanes and all that sort of stuff. He's part of the WEF. He's been there and he's one of Klaus Schwab's proteges.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those around.
Every country seems to have one.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
He's the strong silent type.
Oh.
No, I just forgot I was on mute. No, I was just saying that I'm getting claustrophobic these days.
Oh, no.
It's the season.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's.
I love it. I love it.
Jason's
I love it.
claustrophobic.
It's the season for Santa Claus. Santa Claus. The
Aren't we
season for
all?
Santa Claus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Karl.
Time to go and get that Schwab removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shrub.
So-
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, the people are try and make the connection between Schwab, the famous the famous businessman from the early century, the mid 1900s, and this guy Klaus Schwab. I don't even have to have the same name, but it's just kind of ironic. I notice this with names sometimes, like. When you see names like Madoff, he made off with all the money. And sometimes I think they name these characters in a hilarious way, in a comical way, as if they're actually, sort of just telling you right off the bat, that this guy's going to make off with all the money, And I see these little ironies sometimes with different names. They keep reoccurring.
Yeah, like
There was
Trudeau. We have our own repeat here. Pierre the dad, and Castro the dad.
Castro.
Castro.
Castro is his father. Fidel.
Right. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind.
Fidel Trudeau, there's a whole story behind that one as well. His father and stuff like that. Fidel Trudeau. So there's a whole bunch of them. And Jacinda Ardern did not work in a fish and chip shop, in Christchurch. That's a whole lot of. I was talking to a friend. I can't say too much about this, because I'll get myself hung for something.
Or banned off of Facebook.
I don't mind getting banned from Facebook. I don't like it too much. I use it because of Messenger and because I've got family and friends in Scotland, and that's about it. Other than that, no, I am not a Facebook user. I don't use Facebook. I use alcohol, but I don't use Facebook. It depends on your addiction. Give me a good beer. Give me a good beer rather than Facebook. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, that'll do me.
One will put you in jail, and the other will put you on the couch. So
yeah. Well, no, I prefer the couch. Yeah, thank you. No, there's too much spying, too much control, too much proliferation in your life. When you go to platforms like that, and it's not a good place to go. But politicians, they're not elected; they're chosen, from birth. They're chosen from their upbringings, and we know that. I mean, if you go back to Germany, Angela Merkel, Kohl, and the rest of them, they're all brought up through families. It's like a bloodline. You got to be born into that to actually make it up right up there. And it depends on which family you're born into. I mean, Jacinda Ardern, as I say, didn't work in a fish and chip shop. She was chosen. I know the reasons why. I can't just disclose them here because I will end up in trouble. I just know, like, I've got like eyewitnesses that'll tell you a lot of different things when they knew her, and that is not the person that you see on TV. You know, it's a completely different character. She was brought up in a cult, in a society, and it wasn't a good one. You know, it was, you know, pretty horrible what she was brought into. But she's another controlled person, you know, that was placed in there for a reason. That's why, I mean,
Freemason.
no, it actually goes a lot.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a cover. That's a cover. Okay, so don't go down that track. I just can't really tell you what's what. But no, they're put in there for a reason. They're totally controlled. The programs.
The Illuminati.
They're like, it's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper.
Well, the question on my Illuminati documentary is the question is, who did the Illuminati work for? That's the question that I pose on my 4-episode series, DNA Bankers, Dark Illuminati Hoax, because every war are bankers' wars. This is all about money and cash. It's all about controlling the financial system. And this is where we segue into the CBD, the digital money. The CDs?
They wanted to do that in the 1950s after World War II.
CDC.
They wanted another world war that was going to take the whole world on instead of just what happened in Europe. But they couldn't do it until what happened 2021 when they managed to get a bullshit, I call it con-COVID, going around the world.
Yeah, I tend to believe that. I tend to think that, you know, obviously Chinese CDC themselves have even admitted on camera, on mainstream news, that they have not isolated the virus and believe that it's not what we think. So there's been no evidence that the virus has even been isolated itself, and aside from transferring all the numbers. But we're on YouTube, so we're going to be banned from speaking too specifically about this subject matter.
Right. Don't
unfortunately.
It'll end up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, Karl, if you're not speaking, can you put yourself on mute because you're really loud?
Your microphone
the windy.
keeps. Oh, okay. It's windy.
Yeah. He's out probably. He's probably out on location with his vehicle, raising awareness.
I was going to say he's somewhere near a political rally where there's a politician talking.
Yeah, that's a good thing, Rosie. Yeah, that's better, Karl.
Yeah. We're out in the sunshine.
There we go. Yeah, that's much clearer.
I'll stay inside.
All right.
You were sun-gazing.
Sorry, Karl.
You isolate yourself, Karl. Yeah, you go and isolate yourself, mister.
Yeah. Don't worry about that vitamin D, mate.
Floating on oil and gas, a nation captured. You need to buy the book. It's all about New Zealand's oil and gas reserves. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doesn't
this go back to the Opal Files? Doesn't all this go back to the Opal Files and Longy government? This stretches back quite a distance. All the way back to the Longy government.
Yeah, even further than that. We've had Hunt Petroleum here since the 1960s, drilling for oil and gas, but then the government would never let them go any further. It was just always drill. They don't have to drill anymore in New Zealand. They know we've got so much fuel here. On the back of the book it says New Zealand is the new Middle East of the energy producing world. That's how much oil we've got here. And we hardly, for $50 million, they'd have an oil well in the South Island that they get gas off, and we could set up a refinery in the South Island as well as the one in Marsden Point. We wouldn't have to ship it far. And instead of changing all these boilers and stuff from coal to wood chip, they could be all running on reticulated LPG gas around the South Island and North Island. Wood chip is not the way to go. You're using more wood chip than you ever used in coal. And if you use LPG, you're not using any road transport at all because it's all coming through a pipe.
Right.
Yeah, my exploration friend said that basically, if you just leave the well for 5 years and you come back, it's pretty much ready to go again. So
Yeah, yeah.
what you need to do is have a strategy. I mean, you can empty a well and then move on to another one and just make sure that you're just going around in a cycle. That is
rotation.
sustainable. That's absolutely
Yeah.
sustainable.
Yeah.
That's the true definition of sustainable energy.
A nice rotation.
Instead, they want to concrete up all the pipes or all the boreholes and take away all the infrastructure around that can be hooked up to another well instead of letting somebody else drill some more holes. And what they can do is they can start off where the wellhead is now, and they can send the drilling stream out on angles all over the place to get into other areas without even having to change the field hugely from where it is now. They've got the technology to do that, but this government and National's no different. They're saying, "Oh yeah, we'll fight for it." Bullshit! You haven't been fighting for it. What the National government did was drop the what do you call it? The money that our country is entitled to. This country should be getting 65% of the royalties, not 5%, like National sold it down to 5%. That's crazy. Everybody's going to come and exploit us at that rate, and our country's going to get nothing for it.
That's exactly what happened in Mongolia with Oyu Tolgoi, the mining operation run by Rio Tinto. That's what happened, I think, 2014, around 2013, 2014. The Mongolian government was actually rolled over by Rio Tinto because the Mongolian government refused Rio Tinto's deal because they wanted the lion's share. So Rio Tinto was going to come in, create the biggest mine in Asia, full of amazing resources and minerals, and they wanted the same deal. They wanted about 65 to 70% of the share of it and give the government less, 30% or something like that. And the Mongolian government just said, hell no. So what did they do? They got together a color revolution, and they rolled the government and installed a puppet government in Mongolia. And that's what happened. And this is all going back to 2013, 2014, 2015, when all this was on the rise. What we're seeing today is an outcome of those events, including the dare I say it, those fellas with the funny cross in Ukraine, those fellas out there, they were rising up at the same time. That happened at the same time. And then you've got Kazakhstan as well. Cell phone referendum in Kazakhstan. A cell phone referendum? Like, that's not going to be compromised. Sure, why not, No need paper ballots. So this whole thing has been based on these countries with huge resources. It's all about a resource grab right now, and that's what communism is essentially. Communism is bankerism, and communism is the banker's creation to control all the world's resources. And we would have our super technocratical communist WEF. Probably not even traditional communism. It's not traditional communism anymore, actually. It's far beyond that now. It's far beyond that.
If they kill you all off, they don't have to pay the money back, do they?
No.
Well, money is a fiat currency. I mean, to go further on what Jason was saying there, if you want to look at a hierarchical structure in the world, you have three governing powers. You got the square mile of London, you got Washington D.C., and then you've got Rome. Okay, there's your three crowns. Okay, that is where your authority comes from. It comes from the crown in England, the square mile. It comes from Washington D.C. Okay, and it comes from Rome. And who's on top of that? You have the Jesuits on top of that, who bear the cross on there. So if you look at that, all authority comes from there. In my mind, all authority is passed down through who can rule, who can say what. So it's saying about puppet governments. The governments in this country, again, they're put there for a reason. They're put in there for a reason because they will be compliant and sheeple enough to listen to what they're being told. Don't deviate from your job. We'll pay you lots of money. Do as you're told. Not do what we say, not what you want. You know, it comes through from a higher authority. Little do they know where it comes from. I mean, most of these guys think they're doing they have a political career. Sorry, no. Your career is to listen and do as you're told. You know, we're not going to ask you. We'll ask you, then we'll tell you. Then we'll serve you notice. It's like what happens in the Marines. You know, they'll ask you once, they'll tell you twice, and if you don't do it the third time, you're out of here, and that's it. It's like a third strike and you're out. Sort of authoritarian sort of rule that they have. Money is just used as an easy tool for the hierarchy to use for us, because it's money. Money's a manipulation. You can't do this without money. You can't buy this without that. You can't buy a house without. You need to come and work for us to make us seem more powerful. I mean, it's all a big control thing. It's a lot higher than what people think it is. I mean, we're told this when we go to school. If we brainwash you enough to convince you and take away your free spirit and your free will, we can get you to do what we want. You can have this piece of paper to say that, okay, you're educated enough or you're brainwashed enough for you to take this job, and we've got to train you in this job, keep you working there for the rest of your life so you'll earn money for us. And you're a really good guy, Johnny. You're absolutely amazing. Little does Johnny know that he's been conned his whole life, and he goes to work for you go to work for the very beings that put you in that place that you're in, and they'll shackle you and anchor you with a mortgage, a death debt rate for the rest of your life that you'll never pay off, or you will pay it off with interest to the ones who give it to you in the first place, and you will think I had a great life. No, you didn't. You were a slave, you know, without even realizing it. You're born into slavery in this world. You know, you are not free. You know, people say freedom. Oh, let's go for freedom. You haven't got a clue what freedom is, until someone takes it away from you.
Well, you guys were lucky. I mean, what happened here? As soon as the Emergencies Act was installed, and you know, all the bank accounts, people had their bank accounts frozen. People who had nothing to do with the convoy, they never even donated. It was just like, sorry, no, your mortgage is, you can't buy food, you can't. And it was just like with a flick of a switch, and all the banks fell in line, and it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Just on a whim. No, we don't like the way you're protesting. We don't like what you're protesting. We're going to freeze your bank accounts, and we'd rather you starve than stand up for what's right. It's just absolutely mind blowing.
How did you manage to get through that? We heard about this, but only through BitChute, and I didn't really go down that rabbit hole because I wasn't actually sure if it was actually like 100% true or not.
Yeah, it happened. Not to everyone, but for a huge amount of people, they had their bank accounts absolutely frozen, and so it goes to show, like, cash is king. Just keep using cash. Just keep using cash. Like, don't rely on all the, you know, your bank cards, and like just hope that, you know, maybe it'll be okay. Because no, there were people that I worked with that didn't even have anything to do with the convoy, and they were having to go to their bank and prove that they didn't have anything to do with it to have their bank accounts. Yeah, absolutely. All across Canada. Like, this is when I still lived in British Columbia. There were people that I worked with. I mean, one guy, because I made sandwiches. That's what my job was. And there was one guy who worked there who also made sandwiches, an older gentleman, and he was frustrated. He's like, I've got nothing to do with it, and they froze my bank accounts. Because, well, what if you did donate to the convoy or to...
right. That was it. The donations. That was
pre-crime. Pre-crime.
Yep.
Yeah. That was it. It was they traced it through the bank accounts.
Yep. And they had everybody by the balls, you know. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And it just like that, you know, and then nobody talked about it. And all the people that didn't support it, it didn't even faze them. Like, what if this was you? What if you were standing up for something you believed in, and the government, like, no, you are not allowed to do this, you know, and they just flick the switch, and that's it. You're meant to starve. You're meant to be homeless. You're meant to... So, it's just absolutely mind-blowing that, you know, it was like, oh, well, it just happened, you know.
So the government had its own rights to actually perv into everybody's bank details to look at transactions, or some authority in the government there. just went in and watched the transactions.
Yep, and he used the Emergencies Act to basically just give all the Ottawa police, all of them, like extra powers. And I mean, even now they're going after all the farmers. There's what do they call it? Environmental protection police that can just show up at your farm without a warrant and shut down your machinery if they don't think it complies. And this is they just show up, and they've got these suits on and they've got weapons on, and then they just they don't even need a warrant. They can just go to a farm. It happened to a few people that I know in like Saskatchewan and Alberta, just farmers who suddenly there's a group of people in uniform on their land, and there was absolutely nothing they could do about it, and they have the power to shut down machinery, saying you cannot operate that machine until it's approved. And so what do? You can't, and if you go against us, you'll be arrested. And it's mind-boggling. It's absolutely, it's disheartening. So I mean, no farmers, no food. I'm sorry, and then no farmers and no truckers, we don't eat. It's just, I don't understand.
It's truly wicked.
They insist on binding the hands that feed them. I don't understand it, and I don't understand why people don't wake up more. You're talking about, we need to wake up more people up. Well, oh my goodness, they're gonna have to be starving practically, or. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm keeping hope alive in my heart, but it's pretty bleak when you think about it. Just and then of course the censorship bills that are being passed. They're trying to shut it down. All independent media, the government's going after them, want to shut them down and silence them, and it's what can you do about it? Well, you can fight against it, but. With the censorship now, you can't even communicate because it disappears in the algorithms. It's gone, or it's yanked, and so what's going to happen next is that they're going to make it so that it can only be government sanctioned, basically propaganda will be the only thing that people will be exposed to, because nothing else will go through. It will be blocked, and it will be blocked by what they're pushing for now is platforms like Facebook and YouTube, and they're pushing for the companies because the government has lost those court cases where they've they've gone against after independent media. And then the independent media kind of they win their court case, but now, well, if the government has their finger on these companies, these platforms. And now it's the platform yanking that. Well, then the government's hands are clean. So that's what's happening as we speak.
I don't know. You may have missed it wasn't an interview. It was a stage presentation by Trudeau and Jacinda Ardern. Justin Trudeau, Jacinda Ardern were actually speaking. I think it may have been part of a United Nations cult event where both of them spoke. It was translated, of course. Both of them spoke about the same thing as you're speaking about there, Rosie. Was about the locking down of free speech, basically using algorithms in New Zealand. Now, this is what she was speaking about for the future, and Trudeau had his finger on the same pulse. But they were actually. They're coming for free speech in any platform like this, where we can actually express ourselves. Thought crime may just be a crime. If you're predisposed to free speech, you could be seen as a hater or anti-government. If you express yourself in such a way, they can actually see how they will get a little program that can actually predict your behavior. In China, where they use headbands on kids at school, and it has different colors to show their concentration in the classroom.
Oh my!
And white is like you're daydreaming, blue shows you deep in thought, and red is you're totally negative. And the teacher can actually pull the kid out because they can see what's happening with the thought waves in there, and that's part of their education programming. It's totally coming that way. Where it's totally true. It's one of these things that's happening where thought crime will be the next thing. So they already have identified us They've already got my photographs in my car and everything like that. When I was in Parliament, I already have all my channels going, stuff like that. So they can identify me as a dissenter straight away. They don't need to study me. It's the rest of the followers that I've got that they need to go after now and watch them. So they'll leave my channels up, right? Because I've got quite a few followers. It's these guys that we want to study next. He's okay. We've got him in the corner and we can identify him. We can just pull them out, but we won't, because we need the rest of the people that he's got following. We need to watch those guys. So that there is a reason why some channels don't get pulled and some do. Because they need to identify these others as well and see if there are connections and how deep does the spider web go. These people cross connect. Okay, he's in that group and that group. Okay, right. Okay, mark that one off. That's how it works. How these algorithms and stuff like that work. It's for identification, and of course, then your spending habits as well. How much beer does this guy buy a week? What else does he do?
That's next. They're gonna tell us what we're allowed to buy.
That's your green carbon tax. Because see, if I'm using up too much electricity a week. If I'm using too much electricity a week, they can tell my power bill, okay? Because they've got smart meter and stuff like that. Say, I was using too much power, I'll cut it off. Anything that's smart, they can monitor, and it's all done through Bluetooth, and people don't realize what a powerful tool Bluetooth is. If you've got Bluetooth on your phone, you need to switch it off. Don't ever use Bluetooth unless it's for a private party. You want to broadcast to a local audio source. Other than that, turn it off.
Or just play music.
Yeah, just play music. Use the Bluetooth in your local home. But if you're going outside, turn the damn thing off. Never mind location. Bluetooth is 10 times deadlier than location data is. It's absolutely so deadly to you. It's detrimental. The monitoring is coming around in a way that I can see it, where everything is being monitored. Okay, so if I'm not part of the Green New Deal, like your farmers guy. Because remember, these big diesel engines and stuff like that, and the machinery that they use is not smart, so it can't be monitored. So they can just use accusations like it's using up too much carbon, or it's burning up too much carbon because it's burning through 1,000 litres of diesel a day. And we've determined that vehicle is not carbon friendly, and so we can shut you down. Just as a matter of what we want to do. Why? Because we've controlled profits and we're told to do this, so we will obey our masters. I mean, you can't stop it. I mean, the machinery has already started, and it's going to take a lot of us to throw a really good spanner in the works, as they say, to stop this machine from rolling any further forward. And I think we might be past the point of, well, we can't do it without the rest of you guys waking up, and that's what I started off with. Can't do it on our own.
That's it. Right? United we stand, divided we fall.
It will come to that point, and that's the point where I can see this coming in 2023. It will come to a point where we need to do this now, or we're just going to be totally bowled over, and we will not survive if we don't stop them. We know who they are. They're easily identified. For the people that drive around in cars with the windows up with masks on, there's no hope for those. Don't even waste your breath on trying to tell them anymore.
Except I was one of them. And it was the truckers. Okay, so there is hope.
Okay. All right, okay.
There's always hope.
Okay, all right.
I'm double vaccinated, and it was all the lies that the media told, because I saw what was happening in Ottawa here in Canada.
Right.
But then I was watching what the news was saying, and then it wasn't adding up, and then it was like the ground opened underneath me, and it was like, whoa, okay, what else are they lying about? So I just want to say hi to Jeff and Chad. I see the comments here. It's so nice to have you guys. Jeff is he runs the Facebook group The Good Memories from Wellington.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah, I'm a member of that, I think.
Yeah, if that's the Jeff that I'm thinking, the spelling is the same. So it's really nice to have you here, Jeff. I love your posts. You always have the best videos. Yeah.
Thanks for the page.
Thank you so much for all the good memories of Wellington. Yep. So proud of all the freedom fighters all across the world. Honestly.
I was actually looking at a pile of those last night. Believe it or not, I saved all my Telegram videos, and every Telegram video that everybody posted there. I've got an absolute ton of them, I watched them, just to give myself a bit of, hope and courage. To keep on trucking in the free world. Is one really good song came out of Canada. Keep on trucking in the free world. That's an awesome song done by Canadian guys. It was absolutely it's brilliant. It is absolutely amazing. It's heavy metal. It's great. I keep, especially from Adam West, who done some amazing videos in Wellington there. Really nice guy, really beautiful videos. And, I don't watch the horrible ones. I just can't stomach them anymore. But there are some good inspiring videos, like Freedom from the South, when the South came up to Picton, stuff like that. Some amazing music videos there. I still watch them, and it still lifts my heart up that we can do this. If it came to the crunch again, we could actually stand up stronger. I hope this time, with a lot more people behind us. Once they can see the hurt, the damage, and the cruelty that's been done to themselves and start to admit it, as I started off saying, that maybe we could get the rest of the people on board to say, look, we're not left wing, we're not right wing, we're both wings, and we're both wings in a flight, and that's what we need to see ourselves as. We have two wings, we're left and right, but we need those left and rights to carry forward, as a head, to go forward, to fly to the future, and say, right, this is it. We're going to do this one more time. You're either with us, but you're not against us. I don't think this time you can divide the country into two halves. You're with us or against us. I think the not with us might be compliant or complacent and not quite sure. But I think hopefully in 2023 that this might change. This is what I'm looking for. To get enough people awake and say, look, you really need to think about things.
What is it, Karl?
We don't want them behind us. We want them at the front because they're the ones that have been affected. There's only a small group of us at the back that are actually awake, and we'll be there to support them and push them to the forefront so they can actually rise up against what's going on. Because in numbers, we've got the strength, but without them, we haven't got it. So we don't want them behind us. We want them leading it, and we'll keep pushing them from behind. And what you're saying, Rosie, there before about in Canada where the police can come onto your property or some authorities can come onto your property. We had laws passed in New Zealand more than 6 months ago where they can deem your farm or your business to be unsafe in any way whatsoever, and they can come in and destroy your property. They can kill all your livestock and burn your buildings down. Those laws were passed in this country as well. And the farmers haven't responded to that one. They're too busy worrying about losing their water rights.
Yeah, they're really slow on the uptake of actually doing something about this. And, it's really unfortunate. They keep having fancy meetings, but they don't do any fancy action. This is the problem. I mean, there was probably one day this year, I think. Probably 1 or 2 days this year that they had a small get-together. A couple of tractors rolled down. But that was pretty much it. Yeah. I
was involved in one in Auckland, and it wasn't as big as it was going to be because more than half the vehicles got pulled off to the Ellerslie racecourse and stopped the whole big thing from going into Auckland. We had a big crowd there, but it wasn't as big as it could have been. The thing is, with poor old Laurie and Bryce, they're old school from down Gore, and they think they can negotiate through federated farmers and stuff like that and negotiate with the government. When we were at Parliament a couple of weeks ago for those 3 days, Laurie and Bryce turned up on the Thursday, I think it was, for a prize giving by the government. And guess what? They had an hour's talking with all the politicians, and what's come out of that? They come out with something in their bag. They got given something. They haven't been given anything they require. They've been just bloody throbbed off again. The groundswell people, a lot of the farmers want to do something like the Canadians and the Dutch are doing, but groundswell itself won't back that up. They still won't back it up. And
that's what I heard.
Until they start suffering, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the opposite of what we need, really.
Right.
Yeah. And the farmers are easy to pick off because they're spartanly across the country. They're not in big numbers. It's and if the authorities come knocking at your door, unless you've got a community group around you that can at a drop of a hat can come with 20 or 30 people there and drive those bureaucrats away, they're just going to pick the farmers off one after another. And the South Island's probably the easiest place to do it. And that may be why they're cutting back on our fuel supplies down there, because they're going to bring everybody to their knees and just go and pick everybody off.
Due to isolation.
And I wonder, and Dave and me have wondered, why have we got all these cruise ships coming to New Zealand all of a sudden? Are they a floating hotel to put people in? Not that people want to go in, but actually going to be rounded up and put in? Could well be.
Are there passengers on these cruise ships?
Yeah, but the trouble is they might be dressed in uniform and carrying weapons. That's my suspicion.
Yeah, that's the other. Yeah.
They may all be dressed in uniform and carrying arms, and that's what I'm thinking. When I look at when Karl and I have went through the list, Alison as well, we've gone through all the lists, and it's just like, this is shocking. Right through to 2024 and 2025, it's passenger. Where's the oil? Where's the petroleum? Obviously, I mean, they don't always put the oil ships in there. Sometimes petroleum is defined as oil, petroleum fuel, or petroleum v methanol. They don't always put them in the shipping logs. I think for fear of attack, for security. They'll quite easily they'll put it in as a chemical sometimes. They'll list the chemical tankers there, and they don't always put what's actually on board the ship. I think that's for security. You don't want a terrorist knowing what you're carrying. It's quite easy to target a ship. Not that it's hard to sort of hide one of those things. You can't disguise it, but
right.
Yeah, getting back to passenger vessels. The amount of passenger vessels that are coming in and around
85
coming into New Zealand. Well, that's for this year, but you go out further, it's absolutely shocking. And you think, well, look, if we can't keep our trucks on the roads, from the South Island and our ferries, we can't feed ourselves, never mind feed you guys. So maybe we'll have to go and do a ram raid on one of your vessels and steal food from you guys, because you probably got more than us. So great, bring the ship and get off the ship. We'll go on and eat your food. It might come to that, where we do a ram raid on the ship. We don't know, but
who knows?
Sorry.
Oh, saying that we might all end up pirates at some point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that.
Already started.
I thought, okay, we'll just have to take over the ship and eat your food, and then if we run into that, well, we may have to eat the crew as well, or whatever, and steal your diesel, and just become total pirates and change your names and fly our flags upside down or sideways or whatever. But I'm not joking you. We were going through these figures yesterday, and I've got them all here. My forecast for our ship. Our shipping of refined fuels for the South Island right now is absolutely abysmal. It's been depleted like you wouldn't believe. It's absolutely shocking, the amount of days that the South Island has been without and is only getting drip fed. And I think that this is a plan where we have an act called the Petroleum Demand Restraints Act, right? If that comes into force, that will shut down everything in this country overnight at the flick of a switch. They will only allow emergency services to supply, to actually drive on the road. And don't even think you're going to a petrol station to buy fuel. You've got to be joking. It won't be allowed to be taken away in a plastic container. That's in the law. Everything that you can think about petrol, you've got another day coming to you, mate. And don't be seen driving on the road. You could be contributing to the emergency. That's the thing. If not wearing a mask, not having your COVID vaccine or vaccine pass, you could be seen as a contributor to the emergency. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. I've got the act, and I do have the revised edition, and it will scare the living daylights at you. The amount of power that these people have given to themselves without authority from the rest of the people in the country.
Right.
This is not a vote. It's not a vote. It's undemocratic. It's a total Nazification of this country. I would have thought of a better word, but that one just came to mind. But it was a total,
Good word.
Well, Nazification is just a totalitarian takeover of everybody's what we thought was a human what we thought we were gifted with free speech. We're not. We're told what to speak and what to think. So, I mean, it's not. Freedom is no longer free. You've got to buy it and pay for it as you go along, or play along, play along, and then you can get what freedoms we will tell you that you're allowed to have.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry for being political, but that just got me started. Sorry.
No, it's
No, it's
true.
fine.
Yeah, it's absolutely
I just
true.
want to add something to what you mentioned earlier on about these cruise ships. Now, I can't explain anything for New Zealand, but I can just go back on my own understanding of what's been happening, and we can go to what's been happening in the coast of Europe with the African boats coming in of fighting age men, right, coming in from Africa and being shipped over there on these little boats. Now, of course, New Zealand's very far away, and so these little boats won't make it. Although the Maoris were able to in their wakas, but you know. And if you look at what's going on at the U.S. border with Mexico and the open border, and then you look at, and I knew this back in 2015, that the migration from the Middle East into the Europe was all it was purposeful, and because that would destabilize the country, because you have all these fighting age men coming through. So because of the fact that New Zealand's too far away and a small boat won't cut it, maybe that's what they plan to do in the future. They plan to have all these so-called migrants who were caught up in a crisis somewhere and shipping them all over on boats. I mean, it is already pre-planned anyway. They game out everything. Yeah. I mean, COVID is proof of that they gamed it out just before they pulled it off. You know, so why not? Why not? I mean, it's not unheard of, and it's being done right now.
It was very effective too. It was very effective. People fell in line so quickly once they were terrified.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in Europe. Sorry. In Europe just now, I've got family, in Edinburgh, right, and they told me like parts of Edinburgh are turning like parts of Sweden, right, the whole country in Sweden's fallen into a state that's no longer Sweden. But family friend was telling me a few weeks ago what's happening in Edinburgh, where I'm from. It's turning into like an Islamic part of the city there, where there's some areas where you don't want to go in there. They will attack you. You will be attacked. And that's what's happening. In a lot of places in Scotland, and England especially. I'm hearing news from the guys from there that, it's been totally overrun. This is no longer the country that you knew. You're better off where you are. And I know I am, actually, but, coming back from them. But the whole overtake of Europe's been the same thing. Islam couldn't do it in the 17th century when they had that massive war, when it was actually the Spanish that actually stopped them. They stopped the invasion. It was Spain that put up the fight. To stop them, the Southerners from entering Europe. That happened, but what's happening now, it's like another George Soros, pallets of bricks found in every corner of the street, funded operation. It's when these people want to take over a country, they don't do it all at once now, they do it as a wedge, where they'll plant people in there and they'll slowly breed you out. They will breed you out, then bring in everyone else, and then open the gates. Floodgates of refugees. Refugees, it's not refugees, it's an invasion, mate. And funny, they're all the same colour, they're all the same creed. Not being racist. Generalising.
There was a report I heard recently that there was a report recently I heard that New Zealand was expecting 100 or 120,000 new people to come to this country for employment purposes because we don't have the people to do the work. Could they be the people coming on these ships?
The cruise ships.
Highly likely. People who will just agree to do it.
I don't think they'd be bringing them in a cruise liner. I mean, if it was, I'll go back. I'll go over to Australia, and I'll apply to come back in on a cruise liner. Yeah, love it.
Right?
Love it. Yeah, you can go for it. Fly to Australia and apply for a job in New Zealand and come on a cruise liner. Yeah, great. No, I don't think they'll come that way. But
A lot of those cruise liners aren't running to capacity anymore, so they're always trying to find people that will come. You can get really cheap cruises now because of the fact that the numbers of tourists aren't out there. So maybe they could be adding some people to that cruise that are actually only on a one-way ticket, and the government's approved that.
yeah, I mean, the demand. Yeah, no, you're right, Carl. The demand for some jobs in this country has risen. I mean, immensely since COVID. Sorry, say that word. Yeah, because they were just to take a big breath. They were all mandated out of their jobs. Either take the job and keep the job, or go. A lot of the police force, the army as well, the navy, and what little air force we have. I think that's a bit of a joke.
Nursing and education.
Yeah, education, doctors, nurses, chiropractors, dentists, the rest of them. They were all mandated to have a job. So and look at just now. I mean, Lower Hutt and the city of Lower Hutt is probably around about 20,000 people around here. We had 3 buses on the road the other day. That was it, to serve the whole of Lower Hutt, because there's a driver shortage. Why? They mandated these guys out of a job, and the ones that have taken it have actually, most of them have fallen sick and ill now. Through one thing after another. So you've got the ones that did keep their jobs for taking it, now became ill. And they can't work any longer. But there's no admission of that happening. It's all denied. It's all been denied and taken away from them. Any health care that you thought that you could have has been withdrawn, because they don't want to admit that the jab that you took could have caused the problem. No, they don't want to admit that, and so it ends up in a totally vicious circle of a plausible deniability, as they call it. Cognitive dissonance, and the rest of it. I know, but I don't want to tell myself. It's the last thing I want to do. And look what happens. Look at the state. Well, it's just rightly has got his banner, the state of the nation. Yeah, look at the state of this nation. It's absolutely shocking. We're lacking key skilled workers to keep this place going, especially when it comes to medical. We're lacking these people now.
And if we end up with 100,000 more people coming into New Zealand in the next year or so, who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for the politicians that are looking after them and giving them a better life than they've got in their country. Yeah, they just find themselves votes, don't they?
Straight out of the Democrat playbook.
Yeah,
straight out of the Democrat playbook.
And we've had it for the last 10 years in this country, with the amount of people that have been brought into this country through migration or refugeeism. They're all going to vote for the people that bring them in, aren't they? They're not going to vote them out.
No.
I can't believe I voted Trudeau the first time. I cannot believe I voted
You're forgiven.
I was.
That's why you believe the jab was okay.
Guilty. I voted Labour the first time. Guilty. I voted for Justin Ardern. Okay, guilty.
I don't feel so bad now, but honestly,
no. I just thought I'd join up with you.
Thank you.
I did. Sorry.
No, that's
right.
Good. I don't feel so.
No, don't. I was down that track. I can feel my heart. My heart is slowing down now. It's okay. No, you're fine. Don't do that.
I voted Trudeau.
Okay, well, I've got a suggestion. I personally have to move on soon because I'm traveling for 2 hours. In about an hour's time, I'm traveling across the town to work. Actually,
right.
I stay away. I work away on the weekends. But today I'm doing a long journey because I'm coming there and back all on the same day. So 4 hours.
And you only had 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, I know. I had 3 hours sleep, so it's 5 a.m. in here. So, but let's just go into the future just before, while we wrap up. Are you okay with that, Rosie? That we start to shut down now?
Yeah, okay. I just want to say thank you, everybody who's been watching. I see Victoria here and Jeff is here and everybody who's been watching and who's been sticking around for this whole time. I really appreciate it. And just because I'm cheesy and I gotta say it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel.
And don't forget
If
to
you
go to the
haven't.
State of the Nation YouTube channel as
Yes.
well.
Yes, and drop
Yeah.
the links. Honestly, if you can give me the links, I'll post them in the chat or in the
Yeah,
comments or the description.
We'll do that. But in final words, the future, what does it look like? Let's start with Karl.
Get everybody buying some shares in Marsden Point, and we'll take this nation back again. Without our fuel, we've got no future, so we need to secure that and do whatever we can to get it operational again. Some of it probably is operational. The latest piece of plant was only put in 7 years ago. That part of the cracking process gave them better quality fuel, so hopefully that part is still intact and they were going to use that for their biofuels. So we probably haven't lost everything at this stage.
Yeah, there's still I'm a pure example that it's able to be turned around. Like this country that I'm in right now, Vietnam, has not even considered any of this stuff and won't going forward. It's impossible to pull this off here because of the fact that the people are actually fairly aware of what's actually going on. Not so much with the CV thing, but mostly with the fuel and the energy.
They can smell it.
They're aware. They can smell it. Plus, there's so many small businesses here. It would be impossible to go to a cashless society here because there are so many people here that run a small business out of their house, out of their front yard. It's all dealing in cash. Okay, David Trotter.
They don't have a bank account or a mortgage, probably, do they? They're not tied to the system.
A lot of people don't have bank accounts, but they just deal in cash. I mean, they have bank accounts and stuff, but they deal in cash. It's a cash-based society. I've been cash-based for, since 2000, I guess. I've been cash-based. Only the short time that I came to New Zealand was the first time I was cashless. I was in New Zealand for 3 years. I had a gap, and I came back for 3 years. I went to film school, and that was the first time I was cashless. Just using the card. And those things are dangerous, man. Just using the card, you don't even know how much money you got in the bank. You know? You have no idea. Okay, David Trotter, your last word, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I honestly don't hold out much of a future unless the rest of these people actually wake up. But I'm just looking at an A4 print that I've got on my wall here, and it's right in front of me. I'll just read it out to you, okay? It's quite sweet and it's quite short. It says, in times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. And I think that pretty much sums it up there. Learners will inherit what's left of this, but the learned will already be equipped to deal with that world that no longer exists.
Thank goodness.
It's something like that where I think this. I would hope this is where it's going to go. So last words for me. I hope this is where it's going to go. That you guys that didn't listen will actually start to learn what we tried to tell you. Us, the guys that were like us, that were there in the forefront, we will already be ready to pick you guys up and move forward.
That's right.
And that's what I'm kind of hope. That's what I'm kind of hoping that will happen. It might change enough for that to come to fruition. So I'm just going to say, well, peace out. And
that's wonderful. And Jason, you're all good to go, or
just one adding to that. One thing I heard the other day on a post was all us that are awake. It's our time to rest at the moment and to gather our strengths because we're going to be needed in the future when the people wake up. So we don't threat now that we can't do anything about it. It's not going to happen until those ones that are asleep start waking up in big numbers. Then we can come back and we know what to do. We've got our groups around us. We know our networks and we can work around what's going on. But at the moment, don't fret about it. Just take this time to relax, build your strengths back up, and just keep doing what you've been doing. I'll end it there.
That's right. The more you learn, the more you experience, the more you grow. So this has been a huge learning curve for everybody this past year. And it's put people in situations where they would never see themselves up at the front line, both online and offline, and in the real world, and at protests, and doing interviews and all that, and creating new media and competing against the mainstream narrative. This is all a part of a big plan, and we're a part of that big soup. And as long as we keep forward and keep moving and keep improving and keep making sure that our relationships are nice and stay away from the haters, stay away from the gossip, all that. Stay away from all of those negative-minded people. Focus. Hold the line. Hold the line, because people like me need you to save our country, because we're not there, but we can do as much as we can, and we want a home to come back to. We don't want to go back to one of those grey states.
You're doing a good job in the background.
Yes, you are, Jason.
Thank you.
So I guess I may as well do like the final closing comments. I am just so honored to have been a part of this and for hosting this panel. Karl, it was fantastic to meet you. David, absolutely fantastic to meet you too. I hope we could do this again. Like let's do this every week if we can.
Let's do it regularly.
Let's do it. Absolutely. I am committed. I will do this. And as for me, what I look forward to in 2023, more of the same. There's the networking, finding where the good people are, and just experiencing the love and the generosity and the hope that the truckers started. I go back and I watch those videos from Ottawa, and I still get emotional. I watched one this morning and I started crying. And for me, you know, it's important not to quit, to rest. If you get tired, rest. Don't quit.
Rest.
And
Don't burn out.
and enough with the infighting. It really is. We're doing exactly what they want us to do if we fight amongst ourselves, and I want no part of it. So for me, 2023 is going to be more of this, and more of that, and this, and that.
Keep your eye on the prize, and that is freedom, and stay away from the people that are in your ear. You know, this person doing that. Stay away from it. Stay focused. Stay focused. We have a mission. We're on a mission.
This is a marathon and not a race, after all. So, to all of you who have been watching, thank you so much. I'm going to end this live stream. Thank you again, Jason, for being here, and David and Karl. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I guess how do you say it? Kia ora?
Yeah, kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, bro.
Yeah.
Kia ora, bro. You forgot the bro part, but never mind. You've given kia ora, bro.
Kia ora, bro.
Kakita ano.
Sure.
Go with care.
Yep. Okay.
So all the best to you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, New Zealand. I know you guys are, today is the day. It's still only Friday here in Canada. So it's Friday evening. It's about 5 o'clock. So thank you, everybody who watched. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And I love you guys so much. And it's been an absolute treat. So thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah, keep holding the line. Honk, honk.
Yeah.
Freedom.
I'm coming back to Wellington.
Wonderful. Keep us posted, honestly.
I'm going to wear a t-shirt tonight. It's going to be my my Canadian t-shirt that somebody left at Parliament Grounds, and I've got a pair of braces, which are the American Stars and Stripes braces. I'll wear them and see what sort of comment I get from anybody.
That's wonderful.
A few Uncle Sam
I hear
comments.
that and I get goosebumps.
And I'll be wearing my Ampel hat. I've got a hat that I picked up at a second-hand shop with Ampel oil in it, and I've written on it, Ampel Australia made deal with New Zealand government purchasing Z Energy was to close the refinery. And I wear that all the time, so people go, what the hell's that all about? Get the word out.
All right, everybody.
They cannot censor your clothes. They cannot censor your clothes in the name of freedom. They cannot censor them. Keep buying these cool things. They cannot censor your clothes.
Yeah, but I find that. Yeah, but I could find that offensive. You know, in this world that we're growing in, and I could hurt my feelings. Really, I don't care if your feelings are hurt. You know, it's just like what? Yeah, but it hurt my feelings. Oh my God, is that a crime? Well, it will be. Sorry, I could go on. Okay,
well,
sorry,
David,
Rosie, I want to keep.
Next session.
Next session.
Yeah, we gotta save some. And I hope
Yep.
you get
Yeah,
your
save
beer
it,
in the
save it
meantime,
up, save
David.
it up.
I
Yeah.
hope you get your beer in the meantime. I hope you
I'm,
find
go-
somewhere
I'm
that...
going to I'm going to stock up right now because it's just gone 11 a.m. in the morning here in New Zealand because we're time travelers. You know, we have that
Right?
we have
I
that
know.
really good fortune. We are way out in the so if you're all going to die, we'll tell you first.
Yeah.
But it'll be
No,
too
no,
late.
no.
It'll be
No.
too late.
Right.
It'll be too late by then. Maybe
Scribble a
No, no,
note
no.
and throw it behind you.
yeah, if the world's
When-
coming to an
when-
end, we'll
when-
let you know first. We'll send you an email.
When-
By the way, you're all dead. Oh, soon. You know.
When
What's-
you
That's-
don't hear from us, you'll know we're all dead, Dave.
Yeah, if you don't hear from us, you know what's something wrong. Why aren't you
When
New
the rest
Zealand?
of the world doesn't hear from New Zealand, you know, oh shit, we've got 12
Yeah, I
hours
know.
to sort this print out.
You
Okay,
got
God
12
bless you all.
you've got 12 hours to get really drunk, and then you got to die.
Yeah.
So,
God bless you.
hurry
All
up.
right, everybody.
All right, boys.
Thank
God bless you
gentlemen.
all. Take
All right.
care.
Okay.
Ending the live stream right now. All the best
Okay.
to you
Okay.
in 2023. Keep holding the
guys.
line.
Yeah,
Keep
we
on
will. Don't
trucking.
worry.
Keep
And the
on
free
trucking,
world.
everyone.
And the free
Of
world,
course.
yeah, we
And
will.
maybe
Yeah,
even
keep
though
on
you can't
trucking in the free
see me
world.
later.
All right,
okay.
I'm pressing end now. All right. All the best,
Okay.
guys. Love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.